Lounge 247 and all Q's edition. David Schottenkirk is here. Marcus Traxler is here. Q's is here as well.
I was going to make some sort of hand signal, but I don't know what the hand signal for the Q's would be. Probably just this. Probably just a C.
Like an orange.
Yeah, just mimic peeling an orange.
Peel that orange. Peel it. Crack open the orange. We'll see if anybody else shows up. And it's remarkable how this is the same as this. This is the exact same. There's no difference.
Totally different tournaments for those two schools.
Yeah.
Totally different.
One won a couple and one lost one. Sports are very good because you don't know what's going to happen. Also, sports are very stupid because 16 seeds won.
Because you don't know what's going to happen. That's why it's
Nevada comes back from down 22. North Carolina gets their doors blown off. Auburn was down by 40-some goddamn points. And then we're going to talk for the next hour about whatever the hell happened and
talk about it.
What we think is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And ESPN had their thing, their 24 hours of whatever the hell they talked about last week, and I have no idea what they could talk about for 24 straight hours when it comes.
They replayed a bunch of it. I mean, it wasn't 24 hours live, so that's bull crap.
Whatever, more than an hour or two, I have no idea what you would talk about for that amount of time, and I find it a complete waste of time considering nobody has any goddamn idea, especially this year, what the hell was going to happen. Because you've got that, what was it, the South region that's all screwed up?
Yep.
I mean, that's just ridiculous right there. And Buffalo, they gave Kentucky a pretty good game, so it could have been Buffalo in there as well.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Marcus, it was a very weird year, regular season-wise. Lots of top 5, top 10 teams losing to unranked teams all year, and it seems to have continued here in this tournament, you would say?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of funny that, I mean, it just seems like you can't trust any of these teams, 2, 3 seeds, top 4 seeds in one region all gone before the Sweet 16, first time that's ever happened. I would agree with that. You can't trust any of these teams. I think somebody was making I don't remember where I heard it or whatever, but like the day before UMBC won, somebody had on the radio. I want to say it was Doug Gottlieb, but I don't think it was him. But they were making the argument that, it was never going to happen because he felt like the difference between 1 and 68 was as far as it's ever been. And I'm like, I've watched college basketball. I'm like, I wouldn't say that at all.
Like Penn and Kansas was the 116 this year where it's like, oh, Penn's good and Kansas always loses. Like it was going to happen at some point because it's been 33 years since they've gone this format, and it's been 4 or 5 times it's come down to last play. So whether it was this year or sometime in the next 100 years, it was going to happen, and it finally happened.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was kind of like a perfect storm. You had UMBC playing fearless, setting the tempo from the start, drilling a bunch of threes, and you got Virginia playing their dumbass ball where they're not being aggressive at all. So I feel like it worked out perfectly for a 16 to beat a 1, and you got a team in Virginia that nobody trusts. And somebody made the point, one of my friends, I think, like, who's going to pick Virginia in years going forward after this? Like, they're scarred for a long time as far as just with general fans and being in the bracket. So
Schottenkirk, the one team, I think the best team I think this year is Villanova, and they have had no trouble in their first 2 games. And I like Villanova's chances to win this whole thing now.
As far as the upsets go, it's kind of funny how it still could play out here. I don't think anybody would be surprised. You could get Villanova Duke or Villanova Kansas on one side, and you can get Kentucky Xavier, Kentucky Michigan, Kentucky Gonzaga. There's still heavy hitters out there, obviously, that no one's going to be surprised if the Final Four is still pretty star-studded. But I would agree that Villanova is the title favorite right now. It unfortunately for me, I think the two best teams talent wise are on the same side of the bracket. I think Villanova and Duke in the Final Four might be a de facto title game if we get to that point. But here we sit with a 16 seed potentially winning a second game tonight. So, like you guys said, nobody really knows. It is one of those years, but I, for one, like I mentioned to Marcus earlier today, would like a kind of a blue blood Final Four after all the craziness, just to get the elite talent and have some fun in San Antonio. But.
Well, and I would also say, because I was kind of anticipating Crin's. It seems like we always have this argument every year about how good the tournament was and whether or not.
I mean, the tournament for me, the tournament's done. I've enjoyed my 48 games. It's after this, it's like, all right, yeah, you got your.
It slows down too much, which kind of stinks. But I would say that you always come back to like you weigh the Final Four, the championship pretty heavily as in those as well, as far as quality of the games, quality of the tournament. So I would, to sort of piggyback off of what Schottenkirk said, if we have all these upsets and these cool stories, Loyola, UMBC, and then we get a great Final Four with blue bloods and good games, I think that would make for a great tournament. You kind of get the best of both worlds. So I'm with David. If we end up with blue bloods in the Final Four, maybe 3 out of 4, for sure, we're going to be in good shape.
Like, this is one of the worst Kentucky teams in a long time.
And they've got the path. The path is there.
Well, I very much disagree with that. Actually,
they played bad this year.
They underperformed, but yes. Talent wise, they're on par with a couple teams like that team that lost to UConn in the title game. They're on par talent wise with that team, in my opinion. 1 through 6 or 7.
So you've got Kentucky, you've got Michigan, who's not played well in this thing. You have Xavier. God forbid Xavier shits the bed here. It's damn near they're up 1.5. So don't do that, please. What would it be? Florida State against who?
Gonzaga.
Jesus Christ. Oh, you got Chicago and Nevada. You got some games coming up for that. Just
Chicago State, you mean?
Yeah, Chicago State. The Pios going to get it done. Some games, potential games coming up here next week. Not real excited for.
Can I make 1 or 2 points before I forget about them?
Two of them.
And they're somewhat jointly connected. But you watch like Loyola or UMBC, especially UMBC. I was thinking of like, because what were they seeded in their conference? Were they 2?
They were 2 against Vermont.
Vermont was the 1. It was at Vermont, the conference title game. I was just thinking, like, could you imagine any team, 2-3 downward in the Summit ever doing that, ever going and beating a 1? I can't. I thought about it, and I'm just like, there's no way that would ever happen. And the way the Summit has gone lately, I have a hard time even believing in a team making a run like Loyola, where they're 11, 12, 13. And winning 2 games right now.
has had their chances.
They have. They absolutely have. This year, I mean, Gonzaga would have been a tough second-round game, but it just seems like and I think Loyola obviously was helped out by playing a pretty soft 6, I think, in Miami in that first round. That
if SDSU gets that draw, that's pretty good.
That would be good. Yeah, I agree. So I was just thinking about that and kind of applying it to the Summit League. And we watch all these teams first weekend of March, and I'm just kind of like, I can't imagine any team from the Summit League going and winning as a 16. I realize that UMBC is the first. We've not seen it a lot, but that was the first thing I thought about. I was like, there's no way a Fort Wayne or a Denver or
USD.
I mean, somebody even worse than USD this year. I just can't. Oral Roberts, I can't see them winning that game.
All right, so it's a 1-point game. Kansas is up 1 with 8 minutes to go. This game looks like it's going to struggle to get to 50, which is probably them two beneficial to UMBC. At what point did you think Virginia was in trouble here? What was it? They were down 15 with 5 to go. Halftime was pretty much tied, and then they got up to a good run. They got up 8. Like after the first 4 minutes, and then it was really never any closer than that. Was there any point that you thought, even though they were down 10 or 12 with, 10 minutes to go. You figured they were going to make a run, and they never really did. Was there any point that you thought, yep, this game's done?
I didn't get to see all of it because I was preoccupied with women's tournament game. But I got back to my hotel with like 8 minutes left in the game, and I was listening to some of it on the radio too. And at that point, it was like a 15-point game, and they just were never making. They didn't even make a move. They didn't cut it down to 10 at any point, and it was just like that was a sign to me that it was over. I mean,
ball game's over.
Yeah, ball game is over.
Schottenkirk, most disappointing team.
Well, I think by default it has to be Virginia.
Sure.
Outside of that, I would, with the expectation level, maybe Michigan State, North Carolina might be second on that list.
I've got North Carolina.
I would have said North Carolina as well, yeah.
Because I had them winning the whole thing, as they usually do. They were in Charlotte. They lost by 25. It was bad.
Here's the deal. I didn't have necessarily the greatest feeling, but like we talked about, I think this might have been Roy's one of his better teams a year after a title year, but this was not your
prototypical
Carolina team. And you're right. The losses were always the thing that I kept circling back to. It's still fascinating. If they would have beat Virginia, and we know what happened to Virginia, if they would have beat Virginia last week in Brooklyn, they would have been a 1 seed. But I circle back. This North Carolina team reminded me a lot of last year's Duke team that got hot late and they actually won the ACC title last year, and then got crushed by South Carolina in the second round. Not quite the same, but there was always more red flags that I probably should have paid closer attention to. But it's the tournament, and you got to give credit to A&M too, because beginning of the year they were playing out of their minds. They came out hot. They got plenty of talent, but still very disappointing.
Did you have Virginia winning the thing or Marcus going to the Final Four?
I did for sure in one of the brackets. I don't think I settled on them as a national champion team, but I know I had them in the Final Four in one of those. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of foresaw the bottom of that South region sort of ending up like this. I felt like Loyola was an easy Sweet 16 team. I know I had Tennessee in one of my brackets as well, going to the Final Four, but that bottom part of the region just seemed like it was kind of wide open for a team like a Nevada to get.
Cincinnati should have done. I mean, they were ahead by 20 points.
Well, yeah, they definitely should have beaten them, but
Cincinnati should be in the Final Four. I mean, they're better than everybody left. I mean, that was big. That was terrible.
First 30 minutes of that game.
Terrible.
If they played 100 times, I think Cincinnati wins 75 or 80, but they just picked the worst time to shit themselves because you're right. If they would have survived tonight, they wouldn't have walked, but they should have been in the Final Four this year. This was their chance. That's what makes the blowing up that much more phenomenal.
I guess you have all these games. You got 32 games the first 2 days. I guess I didn't realize that Nevada came back from like 13 down in the first round to win that game. That was one that kind of slipped through the cracks on Friday for me. So for them to have two huge comebacks and get to Sweet 16, I don't know if they're lucky or not, or good or not, but that's an incredible pair of games for the Wolf Pack. 2 words.
Here's the thing for next weekend too, though. I'll bet you any money right now that Kentucky wins both games by 15 plus.
Whoa!
No matter who they play.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I would agree with you that they'll probably win.
Take the money. He says
they're gonna play an injury-riddled Kansas State team or UMBC, and then Nevada or Loyola. And I know these storylines more often than not, these Sweet 16 teams that make it out of nowhere, it comes that second weekend and they're just mentally gassed, they're mentally out of it, they're not ready to go for another big time.
All the attention's been on them for a week, and they haven't been focusing probably the way they should. They're going to be playing a superior team that's gotten a few days to prepare for them. I agree with you that they'll win those games. I don't know if I would guarantee necessarily that both those will be 15 plus. I guess we can talk about terms here at a later juncture. So
I thought the bottom half of the East region was where we were going to have a mess with Purdue and Florida and Texas Tech. I don't like Purdue, and I don't like Texas Tech.
I felt like I actually liked Florida, but I felt like that St. Bonaventure UCLA team might have been the one to win 3 games and get to the Sweet 16.
If I had to do it over, I would pick Florida. If I had to do it over, I'd pick Florida to reach the Final Four, but it still wouldn't matter because they still lost. Right.
Yeah.
I had St. Bonaventure winning a couple. Butler, remind me to always pick Butler to win a game.
The Butler did it.
Butler did it. So I played Purdue pretty tough. A injury-ravaged Purdue squad.
Break your elbow, for God's sakes.
Villanova rolled. Let's see what West Virginia and Marshall do here. When they tip off, about 11:30 at night here they tip off, for Christ's sake. So
50 Central, apparently.
Wouldn't surprise anybody if the old Marshall Herd make the old Sweet 16.
I was going to mention it to Schottenkirk because he's probably the only person who cares about this. Maybe Krins. But why was it that the Nashville site games on Friday started after the San Diego game?
It was stupid.
That was dumb. I'm watching the games, and it's like the San Diego games are done before the ones further east. I mean, Nashville, I believe, is still in the Central Time Zone, but my goodness.
Are we going to score 40 here, for Christ's sake, or what? Come on.
Just grind it down. Grind it to dust and come back in an hour, and let's play this sucker again. I
didn't have Kansas State in my tournament, so that's how much I like them, but I didn't the resume wasn't as good as others.
Syracuse will tell you right now, their resume don't mean anything at this time.
I had Syracuse.
I'm glad you guys are talking about that because that's the stupidest damn thing. People saying that wins in the tournament validate selection.
Nope.
They don't.
Not
they don't
at all.
They never will. I don't care if Syracuse wins the next 4 and wins the title. In my opinion, I wouldn't have had Syracuse in the tournament this year just by resume. If they're going to follow the letter of the law, and obviously they got in, they've done damage, and they always could. You get a Bay Island team, and he's done it before. But
that's his thing.
Oh, yeah, it's not vindication that they should have been selected.
It is based on your regular season whether or not you get into the tournament.
Right.
So let's say you win a WNIT. That does also happen. You deserve the national tournament because you beat 5 other non-tournament teams. None of those teams are in the tournament.
I was thinking the same thing. Hold on, I have to get a prop real quick. Get
a prop. Get your goddamn prop here. Let's see. Go down to the Midwest. You have Kansas. Seton Hall gave them a game. That Penn first half against Penn, that was dicey. Just Clemson blow the doors off of Auburn. I didn't have Clemson.
Clemson should give Kansas a hell of a battle next week.
Go Clemson. I had them winning 0 games, so let's get on Clemson. I just had the Qs grinded out against Michigan State. You posted some of the stats there. What a garbage performance by Michigan State, and they should have probably won.
If I'm Tom Izzo, I know he's had some losses that they shouldn't have had or whatever, but this has got to be a top 3 most frustrating loss that he's ever had. They had 20-some offensive rebounds. They couldn't get anything to go. They only made a handful of threes. They kind of got panicky with the zone, which I didn't quite understand. He had a lottery pick and Miles Bridges have a go 4 for 18 from the field or whatever he did, and was looking lost at times. And the big story now that I'm watching it too, UMBC's got the ball and 5 minutes left and only down 1.
Yeah,
this would be
unbelievable.
This would make it even. This would make it 10 times more unbelievable than winning the first game for me if they won a second one.
Well, you know, Kansas State is saying to themselves, like, why the hell are we still hanging around with these? Why is this?
Yeah.
Why is Kansas State hanging around here? Why are they hanging around with UMBC?
Exactly.
If you would have told me that UMBC was going to be within, if it was going to be a 10-point game with 5 minutes left, I would have had a hard time believing it. I thought they would have been just spent after Friday. But
the thing about it, because the 16 seed, the first game is by far the hardest.
It is.
They're never going to play a team harder than that in their first game.
Well, yeah.
Kentucky, you want to take Kentucky over Virginia, that's fine with me. But they're sure as hell their next game is against some fucking team that's probably lost 12 times. So if you can beat a 1 seed, Hopefully, you can beat an 8 or a 9 seed.
That's why they were talking about, like, it's more common for you to see a 6 or a 7 make the Final Four than a 4 or 5, because 4 or 5's got to play either the 5 or the 4, and they got to play 1, and potentially, whoever else is on the other side of the bracket as well. So that was kind of an interesting read on, what the seeds that typically make it and how it's really challenging if you're, usually in that top part of the bracket if you pull the upset.
I just want to see what Calipari is going to say, because they're the large favorite the rest of the way here.
Did you see what he said right before the tournament started? How much they got screwed over by their tough bracket?
You got to go to Boise and all of this shit. Well, you had
might as well go to Alaska.
Yeah, fuck him. He's like, well, Virginia's a 1. Me and Sacken are talking about this. Virginia's a 1 seed. They got to play either Kentucky or Arizona. Well, yeah, they got to get there fucking first, and Arizona and Kentucky also have to get there. So, turns out it didn't fucking matter.
Yeah, who can thank North Carolina and Michigan State and Virginia for losing? Arizona, for God's sakes.
Arizona, Jesus, not even close, not even competitive.
I just made a wardrobe change. Anybody got any ideas what I just changed into? Just a shirt.
No.
Just a shirt.
Hopefully it's a Rocky shirt.
Nope.
Villanova?
Marshall, baby. Let's fucking go.
I didn't know if it would be Marshall or West Virginia, but
let's fucking go, Marshall.
One of those two.
We're at 5 minutes to go.
Oh, pick
There have not been a combined 80 points scored as of yet. Dunk. Let's take a look now.
Yeah, this game is not getting to 50.
Let's take a look at the West region. You have Gonzaga.
Let's actually, before we do that, let's take a look at the teams that are left alphabetically, 1 through 16, instead of actually going bracket by bracket.
First is running down 1 through 16, and then
get have a couple of them wrong, like alphabetically have them in the wrong spots.
I like it.
Good.
5-point lead, not good.
It's getting late, folks. It's getting late for the Retrievers. Call timeout. You need to.
Michigan A&M, by all means, could be Houston and A&M.
Yep.
So that's that.
D up,
you guys,
Houston.
I totally agree with that. But again, Michigan played as absolutely piss poor as they could, and they found a way. I would not be surprised at all to see Michigan in the Final Four at all. They got away with it big time, but they're good enough to play 1,000,000% better than that.
And Rob Gray at Houston, he's probably the best player of the tournament through the first weekend.
What's his nuts? Mo Wagner had a pretty unspectacular first 2 games. Mm-hmm. So to echo sort of what Schottenkirk said, he probably is due for a big second weekend.
I would have taken Michigan to the Final Four if they were in any other region, but Carolina was there, so I took them.
It was a tough region. Ohio State, Gonzaga, Xavier. There's a lot of teams in the way.
And you got Loyola, Chicago, and Nevada. One of those teams will be playing for a Final Four berth. That's all types of fantastic. Go Pack. I thought this was a Thursday-Saturday tournament. The big upset took place Friday night, but I think it was a Thursday-Saturday tournament. Wichita State also lost. That disappoints very much. The Friday games, you had the 2 big upsets there with Wichita State and Virginia, and you have some big upsets here on Sunday, and the games have not been close. So I prefer what happened on Thursday and Saturday with the Chicagos of the world compared to what we've had Friday and today. So that's what I say.
There were some buzzer beaters there. One other point on Loyola, because I had a chance to consume Chicago area media over the last few days. And they, it's sort of the talk of the town because you've got the Bulls, Blackhawks, Bears. They're all shitty. Spring training for baseball. It just kind of goes to show how small college basketball typically is in that city.
Chicago.
But I read that Porter Moser, the head coach, which I guess I had forgotten that he coached at Illinois State and also Arkansas Pine Bluff, I believe, and had modicum amounts of success at each of those places. Anybody want to guess what Porter Moser makes as the coach of Loyola right now?
120?
Oh my, no, much more than that. This kind of was amazing. More than that.
How?
That's what I was saying.
How?
Keep going.
What, they were in the Horizon, weren't they?
They were.
And this is their first year in the Valley?
Second, maybe?
600.
Less than that.
Why?
It's $450,000 a year.
What? How long has he been?
I think he's been there. His record's like 110 and 100 losses or somewhere in there. So he's been there for about
6 years.
Yeah, about 6 years. But that was amazing to me. Like, well, not that TJ Otzelberger would leave, but I mean that's Scott. That's Scott Nagy leaves SDSU for Wright State. I mean that's
more than him.
So that was kind of eye opening to me that. And because their big concern now is that Moser will leave for a better paying job, and it's like, well, you're Loyola. How much can you really pay him? And apparently, they're paying plenty right now.
And Loyola both last second shots is how they get by.
Yep.
What Schottenkirk? What job? What Tom Crean's going to Georgia?
Yep.
What jobs are open or what jobs may be open? When Sean Miller has to get the old unemployment line going here. What jobs are reasonable to expect guys to take? Whether it's the guy from Chicago or whoever the hell else goes anywhere.
That's kind of a tricky question because I'm not so sure that there's going to be a lot of movement. To be honest, I don't know that there's more than just a couple jobs of note that are going to be open, unless I'm not remembering something right now.
You're the UMBC guy, right? I mean, you got to strike while the iron's hot here. I mean,
you got to go to Albany, get that Albany job.
Right, but yeah.
The same conference, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Georgia was the premier job available, and that one's taken already, unless I'm not thinking correctly. But
Louisville, I guess, is open.
Oh yeah, Louisville with an interim right now. But yeah.
Sean Miller going to make it past the week here or what? What do we got?
Texas is back.
Mother effing. There's the deal. Get me the deal. Plug in the deal.
I think.
Hold on. Harold Johnson. Hello.
How about now?
Yep. Good. Yep.
All right. I think if Sean Miller didn't get fired a week or two ago, that even with this loss, I don't know if they're going to fire him now. I just don't know if they're going to do it.
Well, isn't it also like it's more expensive for them to fire him? So,
right, I'm like 98% sure they won't fire him now.
What's the lowest? What now? We're at 80 points here with 3:25 to go. My God.
That's the way the game's meant to be played, folks.
Oh shit! This is Yankton Harrisburg times 2.
It's gonna take double overtime to get to 50.
I just like how UMBC was like all over, just run and gun on Friday, and now they're slowing it down. They not pushing the pace at all. I hate it.
Which makes it even more amazing considering who they did it against.
Yeah. Go to hell, Virginia.
It was like Syracuse had like 14 points.
Oh, yeah.
Dunk shit.
Dunk.
The Qs had like 14 points with 5 minutes left in the half or something. This was...
That was, 22-19 at halftime?
25-22?
And only because of a miracle three-pointer.
Ridiculous shots. Yeah. Thought Boeheim did good at the end of the game, fouling.
That's what you need to be doing.
And they made their free throws as well, for the most part. Hell of a look for 3, though. Hell of a look for a win, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was...
If you're going to employ that strategy that he did, which I'm a fan of.
You're muted a little bit.
You're talking through a potato.
How about now?
Good.
That's better.
Better? Okay. if you're going to employ that strategy of fouling when you're up 3 with just a couple seconds left, you gotta. That's day one of practice. You gotta tell everybody, and you gotta do it every day, so the kids know. And quite
That's
obviously,
true.
they do because they know the situation and they know how to foul before the guy gets in a shooting motion because it was pretty much expertly done. So
Get a steal? Can you get a steal? Nope, you can't get a steal. SDSU played good for parts. Did you buy into Holtzman's thing there of they were the underdog and all this bullshit?
No,
I mean, that's
the most ridiculous. I mean,
come
they
on.
were almost 8-point favorites. I mean,
No.
who are we kidding here?
it was. I think outside of New Mexico State or maybe Davidson, South Dakota State wasn't the number 1 choice as a 12,
yeah.
but they were probably second. And you get
And there were no upsets this year.
It's right. It's become such a thing for that 12-5, and I think it kind of drives those 5 coaches a little bit, crazy because they know they become paranoid.
Jesus
Fucking mother! Look at this.
What are you doing?
Look at this insane shit. Then and Davidson gave Kentucky a game. SDSU was tied with under 2 to go. Well, you had some chances there.
You guys ahead of me in this game, or what the fuck?
Must be. I got a minute 35 right now.
Yeah,
Were you reacting to the block?
No, reacting to
No.
this fucking.
The
It was
back
on the
and forth-
ground. They threw it in the backcourt. The guy dives and saves it from half court, and then fucking another
all
scrum.
right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Minute 20 right now.
Some guy,
Okay, all
the
right.
little bastard, falls down at the 3-point line.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, of course that goes in.
Oh, and
too.
he
Yeah.
slips.
Of course.
You gonna make it here? Damn.
Get the mop kit out there. Clean that shit up. What are you doing?
46 might be enough, men.
Don't need a 3. Go to the hole.
Get
Don't
to
need
the
a 3.
basket.
Do something quicker.
This is
Do
taking
something
too long.
quicker. What are we waiting for? Go in.
46
Jesus
gonna be enough.
Christ.
Oh no.
You took a 3. Air Ball City.
You don't
Let's
need
all,
a
let's,
3.
all, let's all jump on Marshall together right now. We're all on
I'm
Marshall.
with you.
the rest of the
I'm
night.
with you.
All right.
Although I
had,
do
yeah.
I do like Huggy Bear. I do like him. I do.
They had Frank Martin in studio.
He didn't say anything from what I saw.
I was just waiting for him to do the story again. I was just waiting. Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Some lady came and touched me, and then I felt better.
Candace Parker touched me and felt
Yeah,
fine.
that dunk just about does it.
You got to go, Retrievers. You got to go.
Ain't no kidding. Go to the hole. Go to the hole and foul after you make it a bucket.
Stop running the dribble
There you
lead. Get to the hoop. No,
Oh, gotta make it, kid. Gotta make it, kid. Oh,
that's it. The dream's dead for the dogs.
it's over. It's over.
And they're going to get to 50 here, too.
Good little run. We're not going to get to 100, though. We're not getting to 100.
No, we're not. We're not.
Got to update that bracket challenge right now. Kansas State gets me 2 points, motherfuckers.
Did it. How is the bracket challenge going with a bunch of messes, with everybody losing?
Let's see your current standings. You are in the lead with 19. Marcus 18.
I
Me
can't believe that.
17. Yeah, we're 1 point separated. 2 point. Marcus is 1 point behind. I'm 1 point behind him, and Charlie is a distant last place. But
We
all have
we
teams
we did
really
the
available.
draft with Drew there, and then we took him out because he couldn't decide if he was going to be in, and usually doesn't do it. That was great.
Phenomenal. I think that was, for me, amongst the most glorious 20 minutes in chat history.
I was in this thing. Well,
Just
I thought I was
a
in.
complete shit
Nope.
show. Just a complete fucking shit show.
SDSU 70-70 with 2 minutes to go, and then the fouls happen, Marcus.
The guards. What are you guys doing?
Some people close to the situation feel like those were phantom fouls.
Oh,
I think they're dumb shits, is what I say.
I was in the midst of an Italian beef sandwich, but I could clearly see that those were fouls. So
I had Dan Beck call me after that game. You want to know my thoughts? And I was like, the first one you can maybe, but it looked like he got him on the arm from the replay. He said they didn't see the replay, so that's unfortunate.
Well, yeah.
The second one, the guy just barrels into him. I'm just like a goddamn tackle. I mean,
yeah.
the second one, there's not much there. So obviously, partisan crowd.
Yeah.
Just about a stone's throw south of the interstate. So Brandon Key had 15 points, 14 points.
Which is incredible.
Yes.
But at the same time, he cannot be taking shots in the last 2 minutes of the game. I'm sorry. That's
terrible offensive player. So hopefully, I mean, he's very fast. As long as he can get to the bucket, he's a terrible shooter.
Get to the 10, goddammit.
So hopefully he's the guy that can maybe work on his shots since he's going to be a sophomore.
He's got some time. Got some time,
yeah. You would think he would be a better shooter than that, given where he's at. And he's 18 goddamn years old and he can't shoot.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
I'm very surprised that somebody can be a Division I player and shoot that poorly at this thing right here.
But this is UMBC right here, so
50-41, 50-43. Count it.
That last basket. Are we going to count that or not? Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Boy,
what was 10, I believe.
Yeah, the spread was 10. So all right.
So it did not matter.
Nope.
50-43. Kansas State is a 9. Takes on Kentucky.
I like the UMBC here. They're not bawling their eyes out. Like they realize, hey, we won a damn game in the tournament. I mean, that's pretty good.
You know, people may not even remember who wins this tournament, like Amon a year from now.
Yep, that's right.
but they'll remember that UMBC beat Virginia. I mean,
and they'll remember that their mascot's a dog, and they'll remember the Twitter account from UMBC. Yeah. So that's half of it right there.
Very good.
Wildcat on Wildcat crime again in the Sweet 16 coming up Thursday.
And got the Wildcats had the Tigers today. What do you like there? Chicago, Nevada. Let's go Nevada.
Yeah,
Nevada's got them.
Nevada will probably be a 5 or 6 point favorite. I think they're going to win.
You like the old lady from Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool story. I really do. It might be a little bit overplayed these next couple of days, but it's pretty damn.
Chances she makes it down there. Chances she's still alive in 4 days.
I think she'll make it. I was like Schottenkirk would say. I usually would be tired of a story like this, but I can't get enough of Sister Jean. So just keep it coming. That's fine. Old lady, 98 years old. I just love also that Bruce Weber is going to the Sweet 16 and Illinois basketball is just nowhere to be found. So that's great. That's great. And Bill Self, 2 Illinois coaches in the Sweet 16.
South Carolina was, a 7 seed last year when they went to the Final Four?
I believe so.
Wouldn't that be kind of funny if Kansas State went the next year as a 9? With the intertwined history of Frank Martin or whatever.
Yeah.
All that Angel. Angel did it.
Some Haitian gal came in and touched me.
All right, we're in on Marshall, West Virginia here. All right. Any other thoughts? Any other SDSU thoughts? I mean, Dom played great. Jenkins, not great.
Jenkins Jr.
was bad. I guess what Weber said, San Diego State, I didn't catch it, but apparently he did.
He doesn't know.
So there was one of those. Thought Brian Anderson was on his game. He said something early that stuck out to me about getting. I think we were talking about Jenkins, about getting him to South Dakota, like to play in South Dakota, and he specifically said the state of South Dakota, so that people wouldn't think he meant playing at South Dakota.
Anybody who would have tweeted bad things at Brian Anderson, I'd be done with them forever anyway. So they can all go to hell. I was driving during the first half of that game. So
where'd you go?
I went far away from here, and I was listening to Jason Benetti, the White Sox replacement.
Shit, what was he on?
He was on Westwood One. He was terrific.
That's the good.
And he was with Dan Dickau, who I mentioned earlier. No, Dan
Dickau, the Gonzaga guy.
Yes, the former Gonzaga guy.
I thought it was Dan Dockich.
No, it was Dan Dickau who said that he was surprised that it was a shootout at halftime, 43-43 or whatever it was.
Dummy.
And it's like, hey, doofus, this is what SDSU does. They don't play defense. They try to score. And Benetti, when he was doing the starting lineups, he said that Skylar Flatten was from nearby Clark, which I guess is maybe true, but Clark is what?
That's good enough for me.
It was like
hey, Charlie.
I don't know if he looked it up on the map or if the SID told him, hey, Clark's not that far away. He just made a little note, but that was good. Good job by Benetti. Big fan of his.
Charlie Hildebrand, what do we got with the IFL? Is it the IFL?
The CIF, the Champions Indoor Football League.
CIF. They should have a GIF league.
The GIF League.
What do we got? An update?
The DGAF League.
DG? The goddamn?
Nope. Other way. Not DG, not GD.
God, the damn.
Don't give a.
What happened?
Bandits won 45-35.
They cover?
Yep.
So they're not in the same league as Sioux Falls anymore, right?
No, they're like a drop down lower than that.
Because I saw that one of the people from Wagner, Solomon St. Pierre, plays for the Bandits, and
nearby Wagner.
He's by Wagner, and I'm like, hey, maybe we need to do a story.
Well,
on that
Solomon St. Pierre had the
tweets.
game-sealing pick for the Bandits tonight with like 30 seconds.
Good player.
Left.
He's a ball hawk.
What do you think of Dan Tony's T-shirt here? We like this or not?
What channel is this on? TBS.
Yep.
I was just thinking the same thing. I got mixed feelings about that T-shirt. I need to report to it.
Apparently,
he's done it all year. Apparently,
if you're in the Dan Tony family, I'm not on board.
Oh, come on!
I like the 3-point shooting. That's about it.
Is it talking about the Houston Dan Tony?
Yep.
Like he had his thing with the Suns a dozen years ago.
Yep.
And now he's done what he's done with Houston, and you can credit the Warriors with, Curry in the threes.
Yep.
And now he is just taking what he did with the Suns 10 years ago, and now he souped it up again.
I love it.
Like I don't believe he gets enough credit because basketball has dramatically changed in the last 3 to 5 years, and he was doing this a decade ago.
How good are these bleeping uniforms?
It also helps to have 2 top 10 players in the league on the same team.
That helps. I mean, you've had you had Nash and Stoudemire and Marion and those guys.
Right. And Stoudemire's knee.
Sure. And then Chris Paul comes in, and that ended up working well. And you've got Harden. And there's been cases where you bring in a guy and maybe it doesn't work so hot, but it has for him. I give him a lot.
What a terrible flop! Jesus Christ,
Charlie, your impressions of the tournament? I just said that, like, we'll probably forget who wins this tournament in a couple of years, or you have to think about it really hard. But you'll always remember. I mean, Virginia lost, so that's the one memory you'll take from it. How's your bracket doing, and your overall impressions?
Bracket's not great, but it could be worse. I do still have 3 of my Final Four teams available.
There you go.
I was smart to not take Virginia, but I was dumb to take Tennessee to the Final Four. And if you took anyone in the top 4 seeds in that region, you were dumb because they're done and out of it. Almost didn't have Michigan because they needed a miracle shot just to get to the Sweet 16. Yes. Otherwise, I would have had 2 Final Four teams left. One of them being Purdue, who I have no confidence in going forward. Overall impressions, I think this is there. It ebbs and flows, and there's years where the tournament's better than others. So far, this is as good as I remember, where there have been upsets and close games and buzzer beaters. I mean, you're talking about a 16 seed beating a 1. You've got Loyola winning 2 games with miraculous shots. Lots of interesting stuff happening. Yeah. Unfortunately, Maryland,
none?
Baltimore County couldn't beat Kansas State. But
I am pissed at how poorly my bracket is. But Eamon, who earlier this afternoon was leading the Stack It Bracket Challenge, how the fuck, I don't know. He's at third place right now.
Use your right hand for a right-hand layup, for God's sakes.
If there's ever a year where the standings after the first weekend don't really matter, it might be this year because there's so many brackets that are near the top that have 2 Final Four teams and the champion already knocked out. So just not saying that's not the case for Almond since he still has Xavier alive.
Well, Almond's got
Xavier wins, he might win it, but yeah.
He's got Xavier winning the thing, and he has the most points available of anybody.
yeah, I think my favorite thing, maybe of all exact tournament specific stuff, is Amon complaining, and it's like in our ESPN one, I think he's running away with it. It's not even close. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, mine's not any good, and it's like, well, it can be mediocre, and if mediocre is better than everyone else's very poor, as Krins likes to say, then you're sitting all right.
I mean, he's got Nova and Duke, Final Four. That's looking goddamn good. He's got Xavier coming out of that deal. That's looking good. He had A&M beating Carolina, and he's got A&M winning one more. He had the fucking 7 seeds going to the Elite 8. He had Nevada, and he's got A&M going. Oh, wow. So Nevada's looking really good. I mean, how in the fuck is he doing this? Nevada. I like him.
And he doesn't have any insight to add during the year on any of these teams. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's further proof to my theory that the less you pay attention, the better you're going to be.
That's right.
I fill my thing out in 5 minutes and call it a day and fuck everything else.
But you also have very large preconceived notions on teams, and where I don't think Drew really does from a year-to-year standpoint.
I know my only preconceived notions are what teams not to take because they screwed me over and went out early. Yeah. But after 6 years, you have to start bending somewhere because it's like, well, I mean, somebody's got to make the Final Four. You can't pick everybody in the tournament to lose in the second round.
Oh, and as it turns out, the same teams that always screw you, Arizona, whoever else, they're still screwing you. So seems about right.
I did finally have both Virginia and Arizona going out early because they'd screwed me over enough the last few years. But
you nailed it.
Like I said, you got to pick someone else. When you pick Tennessee to go instead, that ends up not being any better.
Charlie, is Chicago the story of the tournament outside of the big upset?
I think they're the story of the tournament now because they're still playing. If UMBC would have won, it would have been them, and it's not even close just because that's how it works with someone that's that big of an underdog. But now that they're out, I think it's Loyola, and we'll see if they can hit a buzzer beater in the Sweet 16 to advance. Who do they play next?
Nevada.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That could be an interesting game.
Approximately how long did Stacken's trivia question take last week?
It took a while. Did have Schottenkirk and Traxler heard about this?
No, and I don't. I have a bad feeling about it.
So this. you know how Krenz at times will be pick a number between 1 and 20.
Yeah, and he did pick a number between 1 and 68.
Close. He did 1 and 50 because he wanted to know how many teams made it from every single state. So he put 1 through 50, and it. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I still kind of enjoyed doing it, but it took a while.
Why does he have to be this way? It's the same. So we have it every year.
It was the same. We know it's the same question he does every year, but that was the one change. And then we would get on a run. We would pick numbers, and then be 3-4 states in a row that obviously didn't have any teams, like a North Dakota or an Alaska or Hawaii.
Yeah, if you picked a state that didn't have any teams, you'd get a pick again. And I think there were 2 separate times Krenz had to pick 6 numbers in a row.
Anybody want to take a guess at the last state picked?
No idea.
I think you do have an idea.
Well, you have a 1 in 50 shot.
South Dakota.
Yes.
It was South Dakota.
How that happens, I have no idea. 2% chance of it happening.
There literally is a 2% chance of that.
And that's what happened. Women's side, extremely disappointed with the Jackrabbit women, who also played very poorly, but somehow had a chance to win it at the end. The 3-point shots, you would think, would be the big difference in this one. And from what I understand, from what the hell Villanova does, they play the same way that SDSU does. And was it a case of one team made a bunch of shots and the other team didn't make as many of the shots?
Well, I mean, I think at the end of the game, the three-pointers were clearly the difference. I think in a lot of ways, Villanova really played good defense for a lot of the game, and they were tight. I mean, they were kind of just in SDSU's face, made it difficult to get sort of clean looks at the hoop. So I think they deserve some credit there, but SDSU only hitting 3 3-pointers for the entire game and 2 of them in the last minute of regulation. They aren't deserving to win in that scenario. So that's probably the frustrating part. You've got to find yourself a way to get a few more open looks from the outside, and they just were not able to do that. When they were able to sort of slice and dice, get to the basket, that's what Macy Miller does best. They had a lot of success, but sort of too little too late, and they couldn't afford to be down 10 points like they were, 13, 14, 15 at one stage.
Felt like they had an advantage inside. I felt like they missed a lot of shots they should have made.
Yep.
So I believe as poorly as they played, they probably should have pulled that game out. So that was.
I feel like that was also like the best example I could use. I did use it in my story, sort of the opposite. But like any idea of SDSU continuing the momentum from a shot to end regulation was gone because Villanova just kept doing the same thing they'd been doing. SDSU kind of missed some shots they probably shouldn't have, and they just pulled away in overtime. And it sort of killed the idea that there was going to be any momentum from having a buzzer beater at the end of regulation.
I was stunned they were an 8 seed. Stunned.
Yeah, that was surprising, and I don't know if them losing hurts the case in the future. Probably not, but as far as being that high again, as Aaron Johnson had said ahead of time, they played a tough schedule. They won in some of those games. That's why they were seeded 8th. That's sort of the key to make that happen, and I hope going forward that's something they can continue to do.
And maybe beating a Louisville is the difference in maybe being a 7 seed rather than an 8 seed.
Yeah.
And like we were talking, the 11 seed is the nice, sweet spot.
Yeah.
Well, hell, if they're an 8 seed, you may as well bump them up to a 6, get a 6 seed in future years.
Spot,
then you're really got a good chance. I mean, Macy Miller's last year, I think it'd be a big disappointment if they didn't reach that Sweet 16 with her there and Giebert. I think those are the 2 best players they've ever had together. And they've got Maya Selland, who I think is going to be the next great one after they leave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would it be a disappointment if they don't reach that second weekend?
I think it's hard to know just because it does depend on where you're at in the bracket. It seems like this is a team that almost no matter how good they are, and
they underachieve, they lose games they shouldn't.
Yep, that's exactly right. Now, I would say that if you look at the regular season in totality, what were the games they lost that they shouldn't have lost? Probably the 2 to USD.
Yeah, USD.
And other than that, I don't know what other ones you would maybe take away. Louisville was one that they were in. You wish they would have won, but you can't expect them to win that game either.
Like Florida Gulf Coast, they got their doors blown off, didn't they?
No, they lost it at the end. They had like a 10-0 run at the end.
That's the game then you look at and say, hey, you win that game.
And Florida Gulf Coast, I believe, won in the first round. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. So you got to win those games next year. And like you said, if they can find a way to get seated higher. And I watched the first game, Notre Dame, Cal State, Northridge. And I'm like, there's no way in hell SDSU's beating Notre Dame. So I guess in some ways it was kind of a moot point, but
I think Notre Dame beat Villanova by 31 today, something like that.
It was close for 2.5 quarters, and then at the end,
I didn't realize. I just saw the.
It was like tied at halftime or something or 1-point game, but yeah.
Like Stacken said, SDSU, he thinks they could keep it close. I thought for Notre Dame, I thought the complete opposite. I thought if SDSU would have beaten Notre Dame, it would have been one of the greatest upsets in the history of the tournament. Because Notre Dame is, in my opinion, the second best team out there the last 10 years besides Connecticut. So I don't know. Yep. And nobody's beaten them on their home court besides Connecticut in 5 years. So I don't know how the fuck SDSU is going to keep it within 10 at Notre Dame.
I was watching that first game, and I had heard about this Marina Mabry, number 3 for them. And, like, she didn't have any points the first 10 minutes. I'm like, I wonder what her deal is. And then all of a sudden they just start feeding her the ball out on the three-point arc, and she's just burying everything. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, she's really good. So, and she ended up with, like, 27 points. So they just have a lot of weapons, and I would be shocked if they're not in the Final Four again.
How was the rest of the campus and all that?
It was cool. I mean, I made the point to David beforehand that I don't like Notre Dame in any way. I don't like.
But do you respect them? Do you respect the tradition, for Christ's sake?
I respect it a lot more now than I did before. Just being on that campus, it was cool. All the buildings are old. Even the new buildings look old. So it was cool in that way. You walk around Notre Dame. I was telling. I stopped home on my way back. I was telling my parents, it's hard to walk around that campus and not hum Notre Dame's fight song because it's the most,
Oh, for fuck's sake.
See Rudy?
I didn't see Rudy. If I would have, I would have.
See the black janitor.
I did see black people, if that counts. So
close enough. Were they janitors?
They weren't. They didn't appear to be. I saw janitors and I saw black people, but not the same person. So, just mainly because it's the most famous fight song right up there with Michigan's in all of college sports.
And it's also every other school's fight song. So that's great.
In high school, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, just for fun, who else's high school fight song was Notre Dame's theme? I know ours was.
Me, Charlie.
Ours was Michigan's, so I'm always going to be partial to Hail to the Victors.
What was yours, Schottenkirk?
No, we need something more from Schottenkirk here. We need something more. Something
You're talking a potato again.
I honestly can't remember what school it was. For some reason, I want to say Texas, but I know that's not it.
That would be unique.
Call up Boots. He'll know.
But still, with this unofficial straw poll, that's 3 out of 4 people here, from not that close to Indiana or Michigan, that 75% are either Notre Dame or Michigan's song. Of course, with vastly superior lyrics, though.
Let me look that up here for a second.
The Notre Dame's arena is only like 9,000 people, and they didn't fill it. They didn't fill it on Friday. The concourse part is like really weird. Like there's like an inside concourse that's like a typical arena, and then there's like an outside course that looks like a damn sanctuary to a modern church. It's got carpet and displays on the side, so that was kind of unique.
New York.
They had the media meal, and they served a tiramisu in glass for dessert. So yeah, it was quite the setup they had there. And I told these guys I was mad that SDSU didn't win because my credential would have gotten me into the NIT game, Penn State Notre Dame on Saturday.
Coleman didn't stay, but obviously you got to get back for other stuff.
Did they stay?
Yeah, he stayed. There was like a fucking hockey game too. They went to.
Oh, really? Yeah, they drove out there, so I didn't know. Yeah, wow.
Our Marshall boys getting their ass kicked right now.
You gotta do better, the Herd. You gotta do better, Herd.
Do better than that.
Yeah, you can't complain about not playing the bigger in-state team, and then when you get your chance, lay an egg.
Yeah. Well, West Virginia's been known to give up a lead or 10 this year, so
that's also
all right.
true.
I gotta officially apologize to Marcus. Just looked it up here, and evidently it's Minnesota's.
Oh, embarrassing.
There you go. That's why I didn't remember it.
Although I feel like, you're from Minnesota, right? So.
You hear it all the time.
Right. So, certainly that counts, but I think you have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt of we're doing the large state university inside the state we live in.
You sometimes hear SDSUs at other high schools in the state, but not near as many as in you hear the Gophers fight song or whatever. You hear a lot of obviously the one I can't get over in this state is Michigan or Mitchell and Mitchell Christian have the same fight song. They both use On Wisconsin, which drives me nuts. They never play each other in the same event, but that seems stupid to me. So
On Wisconsin.
Yep.
The great thing that I love about the March and the basketball is all the media folk get together, and you can be as vague as you want to be or whatever the hell you want to say.
Yeah.
But obviously, I feel it's very poor. Radio, TV, papers, the whole deal.
Wow.
Very poor.
Controversial, right off the bat.
Are my standards too high, or what are we doing here? I mean, there's certain things like, getting the best player in the state's name right. That's like when I saw that. I didn't hear it, but I saw the tweet.
Yep.
I was like, you got to be shitting me. I mean, that's –
What happened?
Apparently, whoever was calling – I don't know who this guy is, but apparently whoever was calling there's this kid in Yankton. He's a freshman. He's 6'7". He's been playing, since he was a 7th grader?
Yep.
His name is Matthew Moores. And apparently, whoever was calling the game on the TV called him Matt Morris, like Morris Code.
Morris. Yeah, like Morris.
Like
Code.
Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, but his name's like Matt Morris, like the Moors and the Moops from Seinfeld. So it's a slight difference, but obviously people knew who he was as an 8th grader last year because he was their best player. And I would say he's the best player in the state this year, considering he's a freshman, and maybe he'll go to, like Mike Miller will go to Florida or something like this. But for the guy not to know who's broadcasting this on TV, apparently, because the Yankton newspaper guy had to tweet at him to say, it's not Morris, like Morris Code, it's Matt Morris. So for that to happen, I mean, that was the worst example I've seen in quite some time.
We had it last year. Mitchell's playing in the championship game in football, and he's getting one of the main
players. That was another guy.
That
was a different guy.
It was in the same crew, and they're getting a name wrong. So
who was it? It was who was it? Sam Michaels.
Yeah, Michaels.
They called him Michaels.
Michaels, yeah.
It looks like Michaels, but it's Sam Michaels. So I mean, the name things you have to get right. I don't know what you think from the newspaper side.
Well, I mean, there's bad newspapers, but I also understand why some of them are bad because resources are only what they are.
But how do you get into a position that high and be so poor? It's like I'm watching Ponder start for 3 years and he doesn't get better. It's like, oh, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
Like, how does this? Is it just because there's not many people in this area?
I guess so, yeah.
Jesus Christ. It did bad all around. Do you think other people think like this too or not?
I mean, I tell a lot of people that I don't think it's very good, and sometimes they kind of look at you like, why does it matter? And I'm just kind of like, because this is the state tournament or the state championship, or we're talking about, the biggest radio station in Sioux Falls or whatever. And you're just kind of like, I expect a little bit more. Can you not be put some effort into it? It drives me nuts, especially the tournaments. They're calling them on TV.
What do we got here?
You don't need the world as far as like research and knowing what's going on, but put in a little bit more effort, and that would go a long way as far as improving the broadcast, not looking like you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse, Krenz, but apparently the same thing happened in the state of Iowa. Now, I want to preface this with, by no means is Sioux City East like the best basketball team in the state, but they are in the largest class, made the state tournament, were ranked in the top 10. And I didn't hear this because I was covering a women's NAIA game. But apparently they got like 6 different names wrong of whoever was doing it in Iowa. So it's not just South Dakota.
Well, I mean, I can.
But the difference is I mean, I don't know anything about this one kid, but if he's the best player in the state, like that's different. Like East has some guys that are good and might play collegiately, but none of them are in like the top 5 or 6 players in the state either.
My complaint is that like I know Crins does it, and I do it sometimes, and I'm writing for a newspaper. I'm not even saying the kid's name out loud, but if I'm gonna go talk to the kid or I'm talking to the coach, I want to have the pronunciation right, you know. And if you're not taking 2-3 minutes before the game to double check the pronunciation, you're not a professional. And that's, to me, you shouldn't be doing the games. If you're getting names wrong, that's one thing I just can't forgive, because that's something you can easily get nailed down. And I'm okay with maybe getting it wrong once or twice, you know. But if you're going to get it, you got to get it corrected, or at least read your notes correctly. And it drives me nuts when you know, people don't seem to care.
Very bad. It's very bad. I don't know. It's just bad. It's not getting better.
We're not sending our best, Crins. We're not.
I think we are. You know, I think we actually are. And that's the problem. This is the best we got.
Yeah.
This is the best we got. It's like it's not good. What else we got here? You don't have Stack in here. Charlie.
Did you guys talk about the SDSU men already?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? They're 70-70 with 2 minutes to go, and then the last 2 minutes did not go well.
Didn't go, and this isn't about the game. This is going to sound like I'm specifically talking about that game, but it's not. I mean, like, you can't. I think basically the SDSU men were in the position you'd want them to be in, where it was tied with, I don't remember what it was, either 2 minutes or a minute and a half left or whatever. Like, that's the situation you want, and they ended up not doing what they needed to do, but I don't think you can ask for a whole lot more than that. But, like, looking big picture, since Walters left, the year after he left, when it was Dykstra and those guys, they didn't make the tournament that year. And then was there another year they didn't make it?
They made it 3 years in a row.
15 was the year they didn't make it. They didn't make it in. They made it in 12, 13, 16, 17, 18.
Okay, so we're talking years. They've made it 5 times in 7 years.
Yep.
Yeah. And like on paper, they should win in the Summit League next year, but all sorts of things can happen, and there's no guarantees of that.
That's right.
And I just I don't think you want to look back on this and being like, oh, yeah, you had Walters, the best player in school history, and then a couple of years later you replace him with a guy in Mike Dom who's even better, and none of you could win in the first round of the tournament. And, like, I'm going to preface that with, you know, I don't know what they're going to do next year, and, like, you certainly don't want to put extra undue pressure on them. But – like, after Dom's gone, like, I think they could be good and they could still win games and win the Summit League tournament after that. But, like, you're not going to get better by losing the best player you've ever had, in all likelihood. And I don't know. Part of me is just thinking that, like, 6 years from now, we're going to look back and it's going to be like, since Dom left, one time in 6 years they've won the Summit League tournament and got boat raced as a 15 seed. They really screwed up their chance when they had better players to win when they did. And I think it's the unfortunate side of being, you know, a small team from a one bid league that doesn't have a lot of these chances. And they've had 3 of the 5 games they've been in position to win and have not capitalized on any of them. And I don't know. It's just seeing all these other teams win in upsets, and it's just like, you know, South Dakota State hasn't done that, and if they, you know, if they don't do it next year, like, I don't know if they're going to have as good of a shot as they've had in this 7-year window or 8-year window starting next year.
I would say that of the teams, this seemed like the one that had the best chance. I mean, I felt like that 2013 team might have been the team as well, but they drew Michigan in Detroit. I mean, that was a death wish in that sense, and that was a team that made the national championship game. You know, last year they snuck through and got into the tournament. Really had no expectations that they would beat Gonzaga as a 16 seed. So this was the chance. I thought they were playing an Ohio State team that really had good players but wasn't a great team, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I would say that I have a bad feeling that USD could beat SDSU next year in the Summit League, and all of a sudden you don't even make it. So I don't know if that will happen, but it's a one bid league. You never know. You never know what exactly will happen. So that's a concern.
Well, yeah, and then South Dakota State was won it 3 times in a row, which is the first time in like a decade or whatever. I don't know when the last time someone won the Summit League tournament 4 times in a row. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, they certainly could win it next year. They're the best on paper, but that's not a guarantee by any means. I mean, I think this is the only year that South Dakota State's won the tournament as the number 1 seed in the Summit League, right?
They were one the first time they beat Western
Walter's senior year,
and they might have been a 1 that year too. Beat NDSU.
I believe Oral Roberts the first year. Oral Roberts was the 1.
Okay, yep. Gotcha. SDSU was the 2. Yep.
Senior, yeah, maybe the second time, maybe second or third. I think Jenkins Jr. He'll be the next guy, and I think he'll be a player of the year in the conference. And he's good enough to get him to another tournament. But as far as winning a game, this was the game to win.
And that's what I should say. Like, I think Jenkins, I mean, I've only seen him play twice, but like he certainly looks good, and I think he could be good. But I mean, a difference between being, a 12 or a 13 seed as opposed to, a 15 seed playing Duke or Michigan State or whatever.
And you've got Dom, and that may never happen again. Somebody 6'10" shooting threes,
scoring 3,000 points in their career. Yeah,
having the 7th most points ever of any player that's ever played Division I. So that's unique. So get it done for USD. They have one player that I'm afraid of, and that's it. They don't have SDSU's got Telenusen and Jenkins, and even Key surprised you once in a while. And again, as we mentioned, Chris Howell is like the best player in the goddamn conference, but he doesn't play. So, and me and Eamon think Howell's the second best player on USD, which I think is probably right.
Yeah.
So that's a bit ridiculous. So USD, they just need another guy. I don't know where that guy's coming from. So I don't.
Graduate transfer.
If Craig Smith leaves, then look out.
Oh, that's also true. If Smith leaves, then who knows?
And also, to bring that up again, you've got people posting about Craig Smith, and this is old news.
That story is literally from 3 weeks ago.
Like, the guy tries. The guy, he really does. God damn. Jesus Christ. So there's that.
There's that.
And it sucks, is what it does. The football thing, Charlie, the Vikings signed a quarterback. What is it, $84 million for 3 years? I really want Stacken to talk about this.
Apparently it's all guaranteed, too.
All of it's guaranteed, so that's the big deal. Stacken's making another kid or whatever the hell he's doing right now.
Your name is Kirk.
Kirk, I am 100% completely fine with this. I have no issues with this at all. The guaranteed, that's a bit of a risk, but
it's 3 years. It's not 6.
No,
it's 3.
But if that's what it takes to get him, then that's what we'll do to get him. You and Stacken and I kind of discussed this over the Summer League tournament. Obviously, Stacken wanted Drew Brees over everybody else. He wanted Case Keenum over Kirk Cousins. Now that it's a done deal, your thoughts as Kirk Cousins is the latest in a long line of quarterbacks.
I would have taken Kirk Cousins, or I would have taken Case Keenum for $12 million or whatever he wasn't going to sign for. So I would say the chance to get a quarterback who could be a top 10 guy in the right system, which I believe could be the Vikings, that's worth the money they're paying. And I believe the base salary, the cap hit in the first year is like $22 million.
26.
I think it was
26, 28,
and then 30,
whatever it is.
Yeah, I thought it was less than that. I think it's
It's
spaced out a little bit more than that. I think it's like 22, 26, 30, something like that. Anyway, I'm good with it. I'm good with trying to get a quarterback. That's always a piece they can't figure out. They can't draft him for shit. So you might as well go for this. And the fact that they're kind of maneuvering it so that they can get.
Okay, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Yep.
Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah, it's 24 the first year, then 29, then 31.
Okay. Yeah. I knew it was staggered a little bit more than a couple million a year, but.
So, however, he gets his money and then the cap hit, however that works. So even better yet, shit, they're paying you. So.
And he did what I hoped he would do. He heard what the Jets were going to offer him more money. He's like, yeah, I want to win. Forget that. I'm still going to get my money. I'm still going to get fully guaranteed. If it goes over well, they can re-sign him again, spread the money out again. So that's what I like it. I just think now how he'll fit into this offense, the new offensive coordinator, it's going to be different. I'm worried about the offensive line because I think some ways Keenum sort of covered some of those issues up. But I think they also can address that in the draft. So I like where things are going right now. And I'm totally fine with paying him all this money. I don't know if that's what Stacken's beef is, but
yes, his beef is you can't sign Barr and Kendricks and Hunter.
You can. You absolutely can.
But that's not factual.
Because they're not going to make $22 million. You're not paying them that much.
They'll make 10, 12, 15 million, whatever they're going to make.
And they're not guaranteed. So if they suck or you need to get rid of them, get rid of them. Whatever.
And the salary cap is not going down.
It goes up a lot. It goes up a fair amount every year. So.
What is it, like 170 million this year?
It's a lot.
I would imagine in a year or two, it's probably going to be 180 million.
They were saying that it's been going up like $10 million a year. I don't know if that's true or not, but.
Well, I'm not concerned about what this, whatever. Charlie, your thoughts, Cousins, Vikings. I'm sure a lot of people will be calling them the favorite in the NFC. Is that? I think that's probably a bit too much. Yeah. A bit too much. But what say you?
I mean, I think you've got to like it. I mean, it's tough.
Well, you do like that. You do like that.
I do. I do like that. If you're a Vikings fan, it's tough to rank where Kirk Cousins is exactly. I think he's in the top half of starting NFL quarterbacks, though.
Probably not top 10, but yeah.
I think he's in the top 16.
If things go well, he could be a top 10 guy this year, I think.
Yeah, and the bright side is that they're not in a situation where they're saying, okay, Kirk, you need to win this game by ourselves because of all the deficiencies we have, where they're good on defense. You know, their offensive line may not be great, but assuming Dalvin Cook comes back healthy, it will probably make that a little bit easier for them. And, you know, like we say with a lot of teams, he does not have to play, you know, he doesn't need to be Tom Brady or Peyton Manning circa 2006. You know, he can be an above average quarterback that makes smart decisions. And, you know, if you're good on defense, you know, it's boring, but sometimes punting's fine. You know, getting rid of the ball to save field position's fine. I think, I mean, and, you know, like you said, I don't know if it makes the Vikings the favorite or not, but you've certainly got to like where it sets them in the NFC compared to a lot of other teams.
The other thing I would say is that, like, Cousins, he's getting paid this because this is what the market is for quarterbacks. Like, he's going to get passed up by Rodgers and whoever else this upcoming year. Or, like, the Packers are going to pay Rodgers. Like, they're going to have to pay him $40 million a year or something like that. So, I'm totally okay with how this is working out. Is he worth $28 million a year or whatever? No, probably not. But this is the going rate. I'm okay with it. Spend money to make money. Spend money to win Super Bowls, hopefully. I have a bigger issue with Arizona throwing $15 million guaranteed at Sam Bradford, or, you know, Teddy Bridgewater actually isn't getting that much guaranteed money, and he's kind of getting screwed if he thinks he's going to be a starter. But you know, let's. I guess that's not my team. I don't need to worry about it. But
I'm sad. I'm sad.
And also, like, who are the guys from this year that were on the team last year that have signed somewhere else? Jerick McKinnon signed for more money than what the Vikings were going to pay him anyway.
That was a bit ridiculous. I like McKinnon, but
yeah, the Vikings can't pay him that much. He'll go to the 49ers. If he does well, great. If he doesn't, That's at least he's maybe getting that money. But who else? Like who else would it be? That's it right now. So I can live with where things are going. Good chance they're going to get this Richardson. I don't think they'd be signing Sheldon Richardson if they didn't think they could re-sign Barr and Rhodes and Kendricks or whoever the hell else they need to sign. So I'm sure they've done the math on it, and I'm sure it'll work out.
What is the percentage, those that like it versus those that don't? Like, is this like a small minority here? Like
this feels like an 85-15 type thing, 90-10. I mean, if you're a Vikings fan, you've just watched this team go through quarterback after quarterback. It's like every 2 years you got a new guy, and even if they sign draft a franchise guy like Ponder, he sucks.
Well, Bridgewater more so.
Bridgewater was okay.
Ponder they just whiff on, and Bridgewater
literally explodes. It's it's just Donovan McNabb, Brett Favre, whoever the hell else, Jeff George, Randall Cunningham, Brad Johnson, Dante Culpepper, his knee exploded. Gus Frerotte, bang your head against the door.
And you know what happened? And you know what they all have in common?
What?
They were all very good.
Which ones?
All of them.
Yeah, Joe Webb.
Culpepper, great. Jeff George, outstanding. Cunningham, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Brett Favre, holy shit, 40 years old, killing men. Gus Frerotte, sign him up. Like, they were all good. They were all better than
you thought. Was Gus Frerotte good?
Fuck yeah, look it up.
I don't remember. I'll have to look at his numbers.
Like 8
I do remember Jeff George being good with the Vikings, and I do remember obviously Randall Cunningham and Culpepper and Brad Johnson was pretty good in a couple stints.
And then he came back as an old bastard and still wasn't terrible.
He still was fine. I think I do remember now that Frerotte had maybe a 5 or 6 game winning streak at one point. So, yeah.
I think Gus Frerotte went like 6-2 with the Dolphins one year too. I think one of those Nick Saban years. One of the strangest NFL quarterbacks who, like, so often didn't look good, but they won, and then he banged his head against the wall and knocked himself out once.
So honestly, what is the justification? Like, has anybody read about the Bradford thing? Like, what are the Arizona people telling their fans and saying?
Here's what I heard. Well, like Rich Eisen was on Dan Patrick because Dan Patrick's the best show. And he said, like, what was the term last year? Something about the outside, setting the outside was the term last year for what, defensive ends or whatever the fuck they were talking about.
Okay, yeah.
The term this year he thinks is going to be
edge.
Setting the edge. Yep, that's what it is. That's what it is. Setting the edge. This year's term, Rich Eisen thinks, is going to be bridge quarterback.
Yeah.
Bradford, bridge quarterback. Tyrod Taylor with the Browns. All of these stupid.
Yeah, okay, but that's fine.
Bridge. That's what they're doing.
Still, what is it that indicates that he's worth $15 million to do that? Guaranteed. What is the?
If he's healthy, he can. Like, if he plays how he did with the Vikings,
I agree. But
he's worth that to be.
Degenerative knee. Zimmer said his knee was degenerative. I don't know why you can pay anybody who has a degenerative knee. You can't trust to be out on the field for 16 games, $15 million a year. It's not my money. Again, go for it if that's what floats your boat. But that's a shocker, I think.
Schottenkirk, your Kirk Cousins, good move.
First off, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Holler
God.
if you hear me. Yes.
All right. Kirk Cousins move. I didn't like it at first, but the more I dug into it, the more I've been liking it. It's all guaranteed. Obviously, it's never been done before, but the salary cap wise, it allows them some flexibility to keep a couple of their defensive stalwarts down the line. So, and I quite honestly, everybody has their takes on a deal like that. Everybody has takes on if Cousins is good or not. I think he hasn't had an offensive line. I don't think he's ever had a running back like Dalvin Cook might be. I don't think he's had receivers like he's going to have. I think he could be a top 8 to top 10 quarterback, and that'd be more than plenty for the Vikes to be pretty good for the next few years.
I can't remember the last quarterback that was good that was with the Vikings that was not good. Like, we just went through these names, and all the guys were good. Culpepper and Gus Frerotte even, and Jeff George and Cunningham.
Sturgeon win.
Favre, yeah, he fucking sucked. Like, there's no quarterback that's come to
Joe
the
Webb.
Vikings. Joe Webb, yeah, he's my guy.
He was
Like,
good at
Forrest
running. Good at running.
Ponder was terrible. Jackson was terrible. That's fine. But there's been no quarterback to come to the Vikings that has been terrible. Keenum greatly exceeded expectations, obviously. Bradford, perfectly fine with the terrible offensive line. So
but good.
I see no reason why Kirk Cousins won't be at least as good. He'll likely be better than he has been. And if he is, like you said, he'll be a top 10 quarterback. So
I think I've said this before, but I'm afraid that this window that they do have to beat title contenders, I'm afraid even with this move that this last year was their best chance to get a title if they were going to do it. They might be very good, consistently good for a couple more years, but I don't think they're ever going to have what they had in front of them this past season, which kind of scares me.
What I would say is that I think the window is smaller than a lot of fans think. And I would, I'm not sure that I would agree with you that last year was the best shot just because you had the Rodgers thing, the Super Bowl at home. You had a chance to be the number one seed. You didn't get it done. And they could have went to Philadelphia and won, except Foles had the game of his life and the defense played like shit. I just don't think everything's going to line up like that again. So in that sense, I would agree. I think they've probably got 2 more good years open, and it's a matter of what they necessarily do with them. So,
I have no expectations they'll ever win a Super Bowl. So if they do, then that's fantastic. But my expectations are maybe they'll get to the NFC Championship game again.
Oh boy, that's awful. Not to interrupt, but that's an awful call in Xavier game. Might decide the game too.
Charge here. What do we got?
Charge, and that's his 5th too. I think.
Charge, get out of here, man.
Oh boy, that's his 5th. He's out of the game in a tie game. 2 minutes left. That's fucking atrocious.
Seminoles making a run. Xavier, shit your pants. As well.
I'm okay with it, not because it was a good call, but because he's too short to wear number 55. So
yeah. A couple more replays. It doesn't look as bad, but that's not a charge. That's a block all day, every day. My God. Anyway.
In your life, can you believe it?
Especially for his 5th too. Yeah,
he's moving.
Right.
He's moving, folks. He's moving.
So yeah,
I flipped over to the Minnesota-Oregon women's game for a minute.
Christ almighty.
What is a more disappointing loss for a mid-major? Green Bay losing to Minnesota or SDSU losing to Villanova? Because I feel like
Green Bay
losing to Minnesota is not good either.
Because Green Bay's better than the Jacks.
All things considered, the Gophers have been playing pretty well recently.
They have been. I'll give them that.
How did Nebraska do?
Nebraska, as it turns out,
Did they win?
They made the tournament, I assume.
Well, they were 10 seed, right?
10. I don't know. I don't know what they did.
Charlie, you know anything about this?
The women, I do not know.
Nebraska.
I know #Amy Williams coaches for them, and they made the tournament. Aside from that, I don't know anything.
#Amy Williams Big 12 Coach of the Year.
They lost.
I do know that the Nebraska men, by no means am I saying they should have been in the NCAA tournament.
They got killed.
I don't know how they got a 5 seed in the NIT, though, where it was okay, for a team to win 13 games in a power conference to be playing on the road, that seemed odd. But the bright side is I don't really care about Nebraska basketball, so it didn't bother me too much.
The Nebraska women lost by 11 yesterday, for the record.
Who'd they play?
Get them out. Get them out.
They played Arizona State.
7-10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for them. The Polanco suspension, I'm not too butthurt about it, if I could say that. Because I think people are going a little bit nuts over this. I mean, this is obviously an 80-game suspension, not good, but I like Escobar a whole hell of a lot. If you have to pick a position player to suspend 80 games, he would be the guy you would pick to be suspended for 80 games. So in that aspect, sure.
He plays shortstop, right? I mean,
that's fine. And Escobar, I like Escobar.
They'll live. I mean,
The one shot, I have one possible, not good, but shot. I mean, are people going a little bit nuts over this? It's not good, but again, like if you had to pick a guy,
I haven't seen.
Oh, bang! Florida State takes the lead on a 1 seed here. Again, basketball, but
you're way ahead of me apparently.
Yeah, you're way ahead of me too.
5 seconds ahead here.
Let's see. Oh, Florida State just stole the ball. Three's dribbling.
God.
Oh, 3 passes it to 5. Pump fake. Oh, 5 made it. Florida State's on top.
all right. Well, I'll keep my mouth shut the rest of the way then.
Yeah, please do.
I mean, or again,
so far behind you guys, behind everybody.
We'll have Charlie give the play-by-play.
That's a travel.
Are people going a bit nuts on this or not?
I haven't seen any of the reaction. I have no idea what you're talking
People are going nuts. They're like saying, "Oh my god!" Or just you look at tweets from the beat writers.
The tweets, the people,
not good. It's like it's not good, but it's like great off season, and this happens again. It's like, all right, big fucking deal. You gotta.
I would say it's the combination of Santana's injury and him still not progressing, and Sano's suspension, and this. I think the combination of those three, yes, is the individual reaction to this story a bit much? Yeah, but you add those 3 things together, and there is reason for concern that this year might not be as good as it.
Apparently, freaking Irv can't grip a baseball for God's sakes. Jeez.
I think Escobar is better than Polanco.
I wouldn't disagree, but I would still like to have both available on a nightly basis.
And then Sano, I mean, get this done. What are we waiting for? What the fuck is baseball waiting for?
Waiting for.
I still firmly believe it's going to be like 5 games or it's going to be 30, and I'm leaning towards like 30.
I think it's going to be between 20 and 50, and I would think it's going to be like a 25-30 game thing.
It's either for me. It's either the first week or it's the first month. I don't think there's anything in between.
Well, Jesus Christ, the season starts in 10 fucking days, so I'd like to know if my goddamn best.
They'll announce it probably tomorrow. They have to announce it this week sometime.
Get it fucking done here, because goddamn, Eric Ibar needs to know if he's got a job. Jesus Christ,
is he on the Twins? I didn't even know that.
Fuck yeah.
Well, now he will be now. He will be now because Polanco shot himself with something. So. Lance Lynn.
This one's going to re-sign. Are they going to sign Bartolo Colon again?
Oh, fuck.
He's with Texas. Is this thing that Polanco took, does that make him better, or what did he do?
It's the same thing that Santana took.
Oh, really?
Something with those Dominicans. Something with them.
Yeah, keep
it's the exact same thing.
Shoot yourself up if you need to.
Something with them.
So what, he tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs?
Yeah, some type of a supplement that's not legal.
This is my one time per year where I say they should let him do it because it makes baseball more entertaining. Where all the players are better. Does anyone want to watch someone play Super Mario where they're small Mario the whole time? No, you want to see him with fireballs, hitting Goombas left and right. It's way more fun that way.
Put that on my tombstone.
Have everybody roid it up and have everybody have cork bats and see what happens.
See what happens. That's right.
It gave us McGuire Sosa home run chase, and that was fun.
That was not boring, is what that was. That was good stuff. I like Lance Lynn, Eamon. This will be maybe this year's thing between me and Eamon, the baseball thing. I like Lance Lynn. He does not like Lance Lynn.
As long as I'm okay with it because it's on the team that I like. I don't like having arguments about guys that I don't care about. So
good.
Give me something here.
Well, I'm just hoping that me and you develop a non-twin member that we disagree on, so we can piss off.
Non-twins?
We gotta argue about a player.
Just like the stuff about Houston all the time. No.
What happened to Houston, fucks? They won the goddamn thing.
But we're talking about them in May. Let's talk about them in October when they're winning. That's you were talking about them 2 years ago when they weren't doing dick.
Yeah, that's when you talk about them. You say, look out for UMBC. 2 years from now, they're going to be a 16.
What the fuck?
How many times do you need to tell me that, though?
Every day.
No. Still behind on a basketball game, by the way?
Oh, nothing's happened.
Gives it back. 25's got the ball.
City.
Oh, my God. He got the 15 seconds.
5's got the ball. They fouled him, but they didn't. Oh, there they fouled him. 21.6 seconds left.
You're like
That
15
was-
seconds behind.
That was terrible. Well, how much was on the shot clock there?
9 seconds.
Man,
You don't got to foul, folks. You don't foul there.
Good
at least
lord.
this guy's not a good free throw shooter. 64%. You take your chances.
Wouldn't it be fitting if Cincy and Xavier both blew leads on the same day?
Oh man, it'd be great.
Oh,
What was it? I missed it, but Cincinnati blew like a 20-point lead
Yeah, they
against
sure did.
Nevada.
10 minutes.
With 11 minutes left, yeah. Lance Lynn, I think, is going to be pretty good. Circling back to the baseball,
Yes.
Circle
I
back,
think
y'all.
I think we might overvalue how good he might be. I think he's going to be consistently what he's been, and the he's flashed having a sub-3 ERA in the NL. I would be amazed if he had anything less than like a 3.6 or 3.7 in the American League. But I think he should give us
He'll be under
200 innings.
four.
And he should be under 4, and he should give us about 200 innings, and we can't ask for much more than that.
Go to Rizzi. Good as well.
Oh boy! Oh.
I bet
You
it's
watch this
18,
shit. No, watch
17,
this shit, man.
16.
Watch this shit,
What's
boys.
Xavier
You're gonna laugh.
doing? The guy,
Oh,
number 1, number
good.
3.
This is
Pick.
good.
Oh, 11's got it.
This
Oh
is
my
good.
God, he airballed.
That can't
I
be the
was so
shot.
excited, and then
That
that
couldn't
was
be the
so-
shot. How many times? I feel like I've seen this like 2 or 3 times where a Leonard Hamilton Florida State team wins one of these late games on Sunday and goes to the Sweet 16. This has happened once or twice
Again, how
before?
old is he? How old is he?
He's like
70.
70. Yeah.
He's like 70 years old. Yeah, he looks like he's
Oh my
50.
God.
How the
Yeah,
fuck
he
is Leonard Hamilton
Looks good.
70?
He looks good. Stay young.
Ed Cooley looks like he's 70.
Is the winner of this game plays Gonzaga?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zags, man.
Gonzaga. Well, I
Zags.
don't know. We'll see what happens.
Zags, Final Four.
Lot of
He
fuck.
was
dude.
open. I'll give him that, but not online
Yeah,
at
he
all.
was open. There's probably a reason why he was open.
Oh
Xavier,
no!
the Natty, Wichita State.
Tim
Carolina.
Brewster, Florida State, the Natty.
Was this worth it? Was this worth Virginia losing? I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was.
That probably was. Yeah, that's it was.
It is funny that Virginia now owns the 2 largest upsets in college basketball history on the wrong side of it now.
Is JP McCura? Is he? What year is he?
I think he's a senior.
Yeah, get him out. Get him out. You're done, buddy. Somebody had a good tweet that like JP McCura is just as bad of an asshole
Oh
as Grayson Allen.
Better be a steal and a 3 here.
no!
Let's see.
That was a missed 5-second call.
That was close.
Handing them the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that should have been 5. Oh, they foul him. Oh my God. Florida State's got white basketball players. Oh, maybe he's not white.
No.
Zoomed out, I thought he was white. Sorry.
He's pretty ugly. Pretty ugly dude.
Mm.
Why don't
Well, to be
they?
fair, he'd probably look better if he wasn't complaining about how much his knee hurt because that guy ran into him.
Ooh, my knee. Ah.
Oh, my knee! It's on fire.
Ooh, that smarts.
I also want to echo something that Seth Davis said, and I.
Oh God!
This is going to get ugly.
Is Traxler channeling his stacking by talking about Seth Davis?
And I feel like Shoddy might disagree with me on this. I guess we've never argued about this. I'm glad college basketball doesn't have the rule that allows you to advance the ball on the timeout. On the men's side, obviously the women have it. I'm glad that you can't advance it on a timeout. That's just me.
Shockingly enough, we're firmly on the same side.
Thank God. Thank God.
I think it's.
I
I
have
think
mixed
it's.
feelings on it. It depends. When the team that I want to win's losing, then I want them to be able to advance it to half court. Otherwise, I agree that I don't like it.
So Xavier lost, so that's fun.
Go crazy, Knowles.
Well,
Go
hey, there's still
crazy.
6.4 seconds left. Let's see what happens here, guys.
Jesus Christ.
Can I say
What's
that
he going to
Xavier-
do?
Can I say
Baseball
that
pass.
Xavier is
Oh,
another
they
one of
turned
those
it over.
teams you can't trust?
Well, like as long as they're not a top seed, like if they're an 11 seed, take them to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
I would
Well,
like
last
to point out. I would like to point out that in the picks, that's gigantic for me too. That makes it 2 9 seeds getting wins today for me.
Yeah, but you don't get bonus points for that. You just
No, but still, nine's beating. Well, it
That's
should have
true.
been ones.
Yeah. Right.
Not what a year. What a fucking year.
I think I had Xavier going out in the Sweet 16. So again, like there were teams I was correct in saying you're not
Yeah.
going to go very far.
I like the
but I
Zags.
screwed up in picking the teams to go farther, so I still messed up.
The crying after the games, that is,
It's phenomenal.
I don't
It's
know
not-
if I've
it's
ever
not
been,
good.
I don't know.
It's phenomenal.
I guess I would be more pissed than sad, I guess. Crying after the game?
Depends how you lose. I
I
didn't
would
cry, but I
be-
got sad after my last high school basketball.
Well, yeah, if
game.
you're a player, I mean, I'm talking more
Oh,
like,
you're talking about people in the stands?
like if you're a player and it's your last game and like, all right, you played this sport for 10, 15 years, however long, and this is your last game, I can understand that. But if you're a goddamn fan, it's like, what the fuck? What are we doing? You get any hot baseball take?
Leonard Hamilton.
No, Sean.
My hot, my funny hot baseball take with the chat today. The American League does not go through Cleveland or Beloit, but
No.
we could save that for a different day.
We'll save the Beloit line. We're going to want that in October. We're going to want that line in October about Beloit.
No, instead of a hot take, I'll just jump in. I think the Yankees are going to win the whole thing, and I know that might not be all that surprising, but I think they're going to do it this year.
Probably do a baseball preview in 2 weeks, maybe next week.
Well, considering the season starts a week from this Thursday.
Yeah, maybe do it next week.
There you go.
We'll be on the lookout for baseball talk next week.
Be on the lookout for the seams and the bats.
And it appears that Marshall's not doing it here, so.
No, I took the shirt off. It's currently uncovered.
Not ideal.
Do you think one of the things people will learn from this tournament is if you want to pull an upset, have sweet, like, what do you call it, like script uniforms? Is that what it's called, where it's
That's
the
right.
cursive?
Marshall has great uniforms right now, but they are not playing like it.
No.
They're house money at this point, though, beating the 4 seed. I mean, they got what they needed. That's what South Dakota State needs to do next year if they make the tournament again.
You know what?
Script Jackrabbits or script South Dakota State in all blue, none of this other weird stuff.
Very happy they didn't wear black. So goddamn happy.
That's one win. That's one
Can't
win.
even express the happiness that they didn't wear a black jersey. So
all things considered, even with Virginia bowing out and North Carolina bowing out today, the ACC is still having a pretty fucking good tournament.
Duke, Florida State, the Qs.
This the Gopher women are just getting torn up by this Ionescu. She's got 22 in the first half for Oregon. She's incredible. Step back 3. It's 51-36 at halftime.
Oh my God.
I have a trivia question.
Step back 23-footer bang.
I have a trivia question.
Hey, I've actually seen this ref before, and she's fucking terrible.
And well, apparently, why are we reviewing this?
I
For
don't know.
God's sakes.
Because she's terrible.
Yeah, she's not good.
I have a question.
Hey, is the question, did Rory McIlroy win a golf tournament today?
Because he
The
did.
answer is yes. Yes.
Let's talk about the golf. The Woods did okay.
The Woods.
The McIlroy did the best. People seem to be excited about the golf. People are watching the golf. People can't get enough of
Let's
the
put
golf.
it this way.
Very exciting.
The Masters,
Biggest tournament ever.
bar none, the last 10 years, this is the most excited you should ever be about a Masters, period.
It's going to be insane.
Phil won recently. Rory just won. Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson,
Jason Day.
fucking Jason Day, Tiger. They're all have won or been close to winning. It's going to be fucking phenomenal. Jordan Spieth's still going to obviously be around. I know golf can be, you pick it up on Saturday afternoon or whatever, but I'm telling you, if it plays out half as good as what the rest of this year has so far, the storylines go 1 through 20. It's just insane.
You know what would be good if they just cut the field down to like those 10 guys. Have those 10 guys golf, I'd be just go. Those 10 guys.
What you got to have Freddie Couples in the mix on Saturday afternoon, only shoot 82 on Sunday.
William McGirt's got to have the lead going into Sunday. So
Oh yeah.
Who's one of my guys?
You should. I was kind of wishing
Lee
Stagno was going to be
Trevino.
on.
Yeah.
I was kind of wishing Stagno was going to be on tonight so I could ask him if Rory is back on track for 20 majors.
Just insane. God damn it.
If somehow we get a Rory Tiger Woods pairing on Sunday
Oh,
in the final round, is that the closest we could have to Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin trash talking each other at the end of the movie Happy Gilmore the whole entire day?
The only thing I could guarantee if it's Saturday night and it wound up those two were locked in for the final grouping, that when I took my pants off Saturday night, they would not be on until the last shot was struck Sunday evening. So I can promise you that.
no pants. I have a trivia question. Pretty sure we've done this before, but I don't care. It doesn't
Make
matter.
it snappy. Make it snappy.
There's
Is it
not-
at least updated so there's new teams in it, the mix?
Yes, there could be new gentlemen's in here.
Nice.
56 answers. No. 23 questions. Let's see. The teams that have won the most tournament games without winning a title. There are 23 teams. The team with the most wins is at 41. The team with the fewest wins is at 20. Teams that never won the NCAA tournament, but they won a lot of games. Charlie, Marcus, David. Charlie. You each get an X. You each get a strike. Well,
to start with, I will.
yeah, we'll go a while.
I'll say Gonzaga.
Gonzaga has won 29 games. They are on the list. They are 9th. Was that UMass? Was that UMass?
No, it wasn't.
U of Maine? UMBC?
Cincinnati.
The Natty. I believe the Natty's won one.
Oh shit.
Shit. That's one for you.
I thought trivia was supposed to be Charlie goes out early, not Jackson goes out early.
It's the year of the upset, Hildebrand. It's the
well.
year of the upset.
Yeah.
You're Florida State. You're going to the deal. Shattenkirk.
Fucking Christ.
Fucking Christ.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Raiders.
Man.
Hildebrand
I
and
got
the
like an
Boss. Up one.
Yeah, Cincinnati kind of threw me off because the tracks are getting knocked out here so early.
Well, he's got an X. You get all
I got an X. I'm not out yet.
No one's wrong.
I will
He's
say-
not out, but it's early in the second half, and he's got 3 fouls already.
Yeah,
Got one timeout left.
take a shot with, let's go like an Alabama type.
Alabama was last on my list with 20.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
I don't believe this
man.
counts this year's tournament, so I'm sure they'd be at 21 right now. So, in at the buzzer.
I think I remember seeing somewhere, this wasn't without a title, but it was the most wins without making the Final Four. So I will assume that they still apply for this, and I will say the Missouri Tigers.
Mm.
I do not see Missouri on this list.
Oh boy.
Man. Oh, there goes that 15-point lead I had at halftime.
So according to this, Missouri is either nope, they are on the list. Correction on the
Oh
scoreboard.
my God.
The 3
In at the
counts.
buzzer.
The 3 counts.
Bang! 22 wins for Mizzou.
That ref that was doing the Minnesota-Oregon game just came.
You had to
in
have a
and
5-minute
shot he ate.
Charlie Hildebrand 2 for 2.
I
But
will
then-
go with Tech.
I will thoroughly look over this list twice. Georgia Tech also on my list. They've won 23 games. They are near the bottom. They're 20th.
I remember when they made the national title game with an Australian named Luke Shenshire, I don't know how I remember that guy's name.
Tall white bastard. Luke. Throw it down, big fuck. Oh my.
Throw it down, big fella.
All right, something interesting. Oh, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That was powerful. Schottenkirk is up.
Xavier.
Xavier 27, probably 28 wins now. No
You
more.
gotta have the right Cincinnati school, folks.
I
Oh what?
am going to go now. Well, maybe later if I really come up blank. I will go with the Storm and Mormons from BYU.
They're not on here, I don't think.
Uh-oh.
I don't think they would be. They've never won it, have they? BYU not on here. I don't.
Maybe they've won it.
Can you name the Division I colleges that have won the most tournament games or win the title? BYU not on here. It's a surprise.
Son of a bee sting.
Son of
That's what I get for drinking caffeine today, I guess.
Dentist.
I'm gonna go with Louisiana State.
24 wins. Yep.
That's a good
I
one.
don't know how they won 24 games, but they did.
Pistol Pete Maravich.
Well, they did have that one year. They made the Final Four with that guy that the Bulls drafted who didn't do any good at
Big
all.
Gibby Davis.
No, Tyrus Thomas. He was
Tyrus Thomas, that's his name.
And they had Ben Simmons, so
that worked well.
oh wait, didn't make the
I think that was my first year at SDSU, and I remember having a roommate who was a Duke fan and having so much fun laughing when LSU beat Duke in the Sweet 16 that year, just pointing and laughing.
Schottenkirk.
Butler.
The Butler did it.
They're on the list. 23 wins, probably 24.
If Gordon Hayward banks in that shot, maybe they would lose in overtime.
I'm stuck between two mid-major teams, I want to guess. I'm going to assume helped a little bit in recent years that Wichita State's on the list.
I don't believe they are. No.
Oh
Son
no!
Bitch. I still lost and went out first.
I'm going with a team that Krins tried to give away just minutes ago, Iowa, because I don't think they've ever won the title.
Yeah, they're on the list. 29 wins, and they suck.
They suck. Now, if there's been a team, if they've had their title vacated, does that count or
I would know. No.
no? Because I guess the only team that's happened to is Louisville, right?
Sure. And they won another
Final fours that have been vacated, but
Yeah.
not a championship. So
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say anything. I was going to ask if it worked with one school, but they could potentially. Never mind. I'm not
they
gonna say
could be
anything.
on the list. You never
Yeah,
know.
if I was in the tournament again, I'll pick against them. So.
Also, it was a lot of fun when Iowa was a 3 seed, and I picked them to lose in the first round at Northwestern State, and
Oh,
sitting in some computer lab in class, and it was on, and someone was an Iowa fan, and going, "Ha, we lost." That was fun too.
Iowa fans.
The tournament's fun, but March Madness is more fun when you're in the dorms watching it with like
It is.
17 people at once.
It's my turn.
Yep.
Yeah. Assuming that they made the title game 2 years in a row and lost both, I'm gonna have to safely assume Houston's on the list.
Yes, Houston. They've never won it. They're on the list.
Phi Slamma Jamma though.
How did that Phi Slamma Jamma team never win a title when they were so much more talented than everyone else?
Too much slamma, not enough defense.
God damn it.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Valvano's cancer. Get them in. Never give up. He said never give up, and they never gave up.
I will go with this school because I was just looking at the banners in their arena, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's third, 38 wins. They never won one.
Illinois.
Illinois second with 40. They've never won one. Fuck you, Darren Williams and D. Brown. Suck a big one.
This is also the 2 times a year where I say Illinois should be much better at basketball than they are.
I very much hated 2005 Illinois, and I was very happy North Carolina beat them. Very happy.
Yeah, I didn't like that team either. I remember us speaking another time, Arizona let us all down. Should have won that Elite Eight game, and they didn't. So
I was indifferent with that Illinois team, but was certainly glad that North Carolina won over them.
Yes. That was a good game. John Kirk.
I think it's me. And I'm going to go with Pitt.
They're on the list of 24 wins.
Thank God.
Real quick side note on Pitt. Has anyone – Virginia is the new Pitt now, right? When Jamie Dixon was at Pitt, of like, we're going to have unheralded guys and be really good on defense. Yeah. And we're going to be good, and then we're going to make the tournament and go out in the first weekend because we don't have anyone that can take over a game on offense and get us buckets. We need buckets.
Seems about right.
Does Pitt have a coach yet or not?
Well, that's another job. No, they don't. That could be another one for Moser type.
Yeah.
Nagy!
Kansas State's my next answer to the question.
They are 34 wins. They are 6th. Make it 35.
Forget, I think Kansas State was like really good at basketball in like the 70s and the 80s. Or, well, fairly good, I should say.
They won these games.
They've never won a title.
I believe that this team has never won the championship. I will go with Oklahoma.
Oklahoma's won the most games of any team, 41 games they've won. We're terrible this year.
They were not good.
They were so bad they couldn't even beat the smallest state, Rhode Island.
I'm running awfully low here. Memphis, maybe?
Memphis, 34 wins. Tubby Smith, R.I.P.
That was hilarious. I'm sorry. It was.
What?
Tubby losing his job.
And Penny Hardaway being probably the coach? That's hysterical.
Oh, yeah.
But they could make it great if they bring back those little penny things for Memphis now. That would make it all worth it.
I assume Mike Miller will be an assistant.
Seems about right. I will go with, because we've talked about them a lot in this show, I will go with Virginia.
They've never won, and they're on the list. 29 wins. That number has not changed. I don't know.
It won't change for a long time either. It'll take at least a year, maybe longer.
Boy, I'm running real low here. Oh, I can't do that. How about...
Don't guess Nebraska, because they've never even made the tournament. They've never won a single game.
How about Purdue?
Purdue is now third, I guess.
How about Purdue?
They've jumped Notre Dame. They can maybe even be number one by the end of this tournament.
You want to win, but not win too many games.
County Fair running a St. Patrick's Day ad at 10:30 on a Sunday.
It's risky the day after.
Fresh cabbage, get your beef, get your potatoes.
Get your meat, get your potatoes, get your shit.
Get your DUIs. Strawberries, 99 cents a pound. I hope that's good for Monday. God damn.
Are you going? Go now. They're open 24 hours.
Boy.
Wait.
Put it on your janky cell phone like Schottenkirk does and walk to the store, say I want strawberries while you're still hosting the show.
Take my computer with me. Wake Forest is on the list, yes.
All right, thank God.
I went to the mid-major well way too early in this game. That
A
was
lot
a
of
dumb
Power
mistake.
Fives. A lot of Power Fives that have never done anything.
How about the Fighting Trees, Stanford? Maybe somewhere.
No.
Ah. Oh,
We each have an
yeah.
X.
No, yeah. Stanford won a title really early, didn't they?
You blew it.
Yeah.
Do you have one or do you have two X's? Do you have one?
I got one.
I believe there's only maybe 6 mid-majors on this list, 6 or 7 out of 23.
How about?
Do you get to go again with an X?
Oh, Traxxas goes. We each have an X.
All right.
Marcus.
Temple Owls.
Temple's on the list.
That was my other fucking choice last night. Son of a bitch.
Krenza's Temple squad.
I love you, Cheney. Don't die.
You should still
We
be
were
a
talking
coach.
about how the Florida State coach is 70 but looks 50. John Chaney's looked like he was 70 since he was like 38 years old.
He's probably still like 61, right?
He's probably like 86.
Still threatening to fight John Calipari every chance he
I'll
gets.
fight you.
I love it.
I'll fight you.
I think there's maybe 5 schools left here.
Oh boy.
Oh, shit.
I was gonna say Temple, you jackass.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
How about another T? Texas.
Texas on the list with 35.
Ah, shit.
There's 4 to go. One pretty good team. One pretty shit team. 2 other shit teams.
I'm gonna go with St. John's of New York.
That was my other guess when I was going to say Wichita State.
A lot of hype, not any titles to show for it.
Those are one of the shit teams. St. John's, 27.
Damn it. Well, I would have just lasted 1 round longer than I did, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
How many teams are left?
I believe there's 3. There could be a couple more. I'll say 3. Seems right.
Well, Huggy Bears made a couple deep runs. I'm watching West Virginia. I got to assume they made it before he was around, so I'll guess West Virginia.
West Virginia's on this list. I believe there's 2 to go.
I thought they won one with Jerry West. Apparently not, though.
Who was the big kid? Pittsnoggle couldn't do it.
Pittsnoggle.
Kevin Pittsnoggle, I miss you every March.
That's your team name for next year.
That's right. I'm gonna this is a risky one. I'm gonna go with Boston College.
On the list.
Thank God.
Oh, man, you say shit team. Boston College sure represents that for college basketball.
They used to be good. They used to have guys that threw the game.
Oh, fuck. I don't know if there's any
Yeah,
left.
that's right. I remember I really hated Jared Dudley for some reason, and ever since then I've hated Boston College basketball.
There might be 1 left. Oklahoma, Illinois, Notre Dame, Purdue, Texas, Kansas State, Memphis, Temple, Gonzaga, Iowa, Virginia,
I
West.
honestly thought Kansas State won a national title in the 40s or something.
Said Wake Forest, said St. John, said Houston, LSU, Pittsburgh, Butler,
Pittsburgh.
said Alabama, Missouri, Boston College. We said God Tech because we talked Luke Censure, right?
Yeah, Tech.
There's 1 school here. I don't know if we've mentioned them. There's one
Don't
here.
say it then.
I'm not saying it. It's the only school I haven't said. So if Schottenkirk can get this, I do have a tiebreaker.
So there's 1 school that might be left.
Yeah. If we said it, then.
And if you say it, if you don't get it, but it turns out someone else already said it, then we get the tiebreaker anyways.
We do. Hard to know what's going to happen. Yeah. Hard to know.
I was thinking LSU, but I think Drexler said that.
You did?
I did. I said them.
Well, fuck. Consensus. You just go ahead and say it, then we'll figure out if it was said or not, because I don't know.
Well, you say it, and if you're wrong,
Okay.
If he gets it wrong, I want to take a guess at who it is.
okay. I don't know if we've said this team. We may have.
Was Missouri said?
Yep.
You got it.
Oklahoma. That was said.
That was said.
Yeah, Oklahoma has the most wins without a title, right?
Yep.
Purdue was said by me.
Hmm.
Traxler just said St. John's. Traxler stole Temple. I said Texas. I got no fucking idea.
You have a guess?
Well, I think all my guesses are going to be the ones that have been said.
Of a team that's not been said?
I'm trying.
No 1 or 2 seeds on the left side of the bracket. What the fuck happened?
Get them out. Get them out.
I was going to say Wisconsin, but they won a title, I think, in the 40s.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just hoping that somebody already said it. The school that you're going to say here.
Anybody say Xavier or not?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
That was said.
Yeah,
Xavier?
that was said.
Tiebreaker we go.
So it was not USC then for the last one, which would have been my
Oh God,
Oh, I would have been there.
I would have stroked out right here.
I thought about guessing Minnesota, but I'm like, there's no way they've won enough games, and too many of them have been vacated. So,
Have they won 1 tournament game in the last 20 years? Since the Final Four year, they've won 1?
No, they've won more than that.
2?
2 maybe, yeah. Hasn't been that many.
Charlie talks about Illinois being better. Like, Minnesota should be better in everything.
I'm aware.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I'm aware.
all right. I don't know how the hell you want to fucking do this one here. I'll give you each a strike, I guess. I don't know. There have been eight times where the defending NCAA champion lost the next year in the finals.
Oh no.
It's happened 8 times. Let Schottenkirk go first, I guess, since he's up. I'll give you
The
each a
defending champ lost in the national title game the next year.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a good question.
8 times this has happened, and the thing about it is 3 of them happened in overtime, so that sucks for them.
Oh man.
Schottenkirk, name me one of these teams.
Almighty.
Cancel the season for God's sake.
Lost in the next title game. Oh, man.
Won it 1 year, then went to it the next year, but lost.
I have a maybe a couple.
Like in football, how Alabama and Clemson did it that 1-2 years in a row.
Clemson, or Alabama would be an answer. You won it 1 year, made it the next, and they didn't.
I know Cincinnati won 3 in a row, and they won at least once. I'm going to go Cincinnati.
Back in '63, Cincinnati lost to Loyola Chicago. Yes.
Oh, from downtown.
Wait, Loyola's won a title before?
Yeah. 63.
Did not know that.
Look at them go.
Or if I did, it had gone in one eyeball and out the other. I guess.
And that's what's actually triggered it too. Somebody was talking about that. Yeah.
Sister Jean, she was around for it. Well, there you go.
She was there.
What does Marcus say?
Okay, I thought I knew this, and I'm gonna probably go out.
Well,
I
each
had
get
a strike.
You get a strike, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say UNLV.
Nope.
That wasn't in the championship, right? That was. In
I think that was in the Final Four.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So I'm not sure I'm going to get any of these.
Kirk?
Might have to just guess teams instead of specific years.
Yeah.
Indiana, maybe?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Stay alive.
I just thought of one.
So we're talking about teams that won it one year and then lost the next, right?
Yep.
I got one, fucker. You better not miss it.
I think I know one, and I've got another that's a decent guess.
It's only happened 8 times
Oh man.
since 2010.
Yeah. Arkansas, mid-90s.
Arkansas is on this list.
You fucking cocksucker.
You're
But they
welcome.
beat Duke in 94. Then they lost to UCLA the next year in 95.
Toby Bailey.
We do it again.
Oh yeah. Nova beat Georgetown. I'm pretty sure Georgetown won it the year before because it was such a gigantic upset. So how about Georgetown?
Georgetown in 85. They did it.
Raleigh Massimino, baby.
Rolly, don't die. Marcus.
Kentucky, mid-1990s.
Kentucky in 97. They lost to Arizona. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Now we got
Kentucky was the only one that I thought I knew. I don't know any others.
4 left. We each have a strike. Is that correct?
Yep.
And I probably need another tiebreaker. Shot and Kirk.
I'm just trying to think of teams that won titles now that were good for multiple years in a row. There's one way back, and I'm pretty sure that is in the same ballpark of Cincinnati. I don't know if I want to try to be bold and save it or if I should use it.
Use it or lose it timeout.
I've got, if you don't get this, I've got a fucking tiebreaker that'll make your dick fall off.
Well, I'm afraid if I don't get it, Marcus is going to get it and win. I'm pretty sure Cal won a title in like 1960, and they were good for multiple years before UCLA came along.
California's on the list. They lost to Ohio State in 60. Marcus.
I am now in the point of this game where I'm guessing schools that have won multiple national titles.
There's 3 to go.
I want somebody who's been around. I'm going to go with Kansas.
Kansas on the list. They lost to Indiana in 53.
That's probably the end of my list.
2 to go. 2 to go.
And Marcus, you want to call it a truce? We can look it up, and we just go to this other tiebreaker.
No, I'm just going to guess.
You take a guess. You take a guess. Charlie can get in on it.
Okay.
2 to go.
This sports encyclopedia book that I've flipped through a handful of times, looking back at all these old championships, might come in handy. I think one more just came to me, but you know what's going to happen. I'm going to say one and it's going to be wrong, and Marcus is going to be to say the other one that I'm thinking about.
Not likely. I'm not sure the team I'm going to guess has ever even lost a national championship game. So we're going to see how that's going to
I
go.
think we might be the same. I'm going to say San Francisco.
No, we're not talking about the same team.
Good guess.
But no.
Not on here.
If you say one team, I will never come back in this thing ever.
They have won. They have lost, but apparently not in back-to-back years.
Okay.
Marcus for the win.
If this is honestly, if this is a team I'm thinking about, I'm gonna Just go die.
Cause oh man, so I need to pick somebody from that era. Is that what you're saying?
That would be a good hint, yeah, because it was in that same time period.
I'm gonna go with my gut that I had from before, and I'm gonna guess UCLA. Have they ever even lost a national title game?
They have, but I don't think it the year after they won one though.
Schottenkirk, what's your other guess?
My other guess was LaSalle.
That would have been right.
Oh,
You blew it.
fuck.
You blew it. You blew it.
God damn it.
Was Duke on the list?
They were not on the list.
That would have been my other
You
guess.
just gotta.
Just because I know they had played in a lot,
Yeah.
and I know they lost at least 1 or 2 national title games in the last
I
25 years or so.
I also would have guessed North Carolina, but it seems like they kind of come and go too frequently for them
Hey,
to.
Crins, did LaSalle lose to San Francisco? Is that where I got confused?
Yep.
You blew
okay.
it. You blew it.
LaSalle lost to San Francisco in 55. Ohio State lost to the Natty in 61. Ohio State was the other one.
The last. I'm looking at the list now. The last overtime game we had
Kentucky.
was 2008, Kansas-Memphis.
Kansas-Memphis.
Oh,
Before
man.
then,
Mario Chalmers.
Before then, it was Kentucky-Arizona, I think.
Yeah, 1997. So that means every 11 years we're due for one. So that means it won't be this year, but 2019 overtime at
That's where it's at.
US Bank Stadium. Book it. We're going to overtime.
I'll be 3 rows from the top of the stadium with my nose fully bleeding.
Bring the
Next year,
binoculars.
Virginia Xavier, 6 overtimes, 45-42, final score.
Okay, I've got a question.
Oh,
you
man.
each get a strike. Tiebreaker number 2. I assume this is up to date. I got not a fucking clue. I'll have Schottenkirk go first. I guess Marcus went last. You get a strike. Can you name every player to score 4+ goals in the Premier League?
That was not what I expected this question to be.
4
or to come from that.
In the same game?
In their careers. No, in the same game, I guess. God knows who these motherfuckers are.
Man.
I've heard of one of them.
Are you
I've heard
asking
of-
this question because it was in the news?
Why the fuck did it just
I'm
happen?
assuming it was because he had
literally just
Sporkle
happened.
open, and then it was,
literally
hey,
just happened
you might like
yesterday.
this Sporkle, and then he clicked on it.
Yep, there are 2 that I've heard of. No, there are 3 guys that I've heard of. Schottenkirk.
Is one of them
So 4
the
plus goals
Hispanic
in the-
kid from the movie The Big Green, the
Yes.
Disney movie?
It's the catcher from the Sandlot and the goalie from the Big Green. So apparently there's been some guys that have scored 4+ goals in a Premier League game. I take this as what this is fucking asking.
It literally just happened
Yeah, okay.
yesterday.
All right.
So
And if it did, and if you say it, and it's I don't know who
then
this
I get it
is.
wrong, apparently, because it's not on your list.
Well, I assume I don't know. Schottenkirk?
I'm going to go Wayne Rooney.
Yep. He did it back in the 09-10 season, as we know, Charlie, for Manchester United.
Manchester United's good at soccer. I do know that.
Well, I'm going to guess the guy from yesterday, Mohamed Salah.
And it's on my list. so
Okay,
fuck
all
me.
right. That's good.
Mohamed Sanu made the list. Sanu, 4 catches.
Who's he play for?
Plays for
Plays for
Liverpool.
Falcons.
Liverpool.
Falcons.
Liverpool is a city I've heard of before.
It is. It's a city.
Schottenkirk.
My favorite Liverpool guy ever, Michael Owen.
Boy, it's going to take me a while here to figure this out. Yep, Michael Owen did it. 02-03. Owens, yep.
Thierry Henry.
Mr. Henry did it, yes.
He did. Okay.
Is he the biter?
He did not do the biting. No.
What did he do?
He never. I don't think he ever played
Did he
the Premier
headbutt
League.
anybody?
Oh, the biter. Yeah, the biter used to be in the Premier League.
Sure.
Yeah.
All righty.
I thought the Headbutter. I don't think the Headbutter ever played in the Premier League.
How I've heard of him, I don't know why I've heard of him. So
Because the World Cup incident. But then,
Wait, the headbutter?
Oh, yeah.
Was that Zidane Zidane?
yes, Zinedine Zidane, close.
For
yeah.
that, yeah. I
Henry,
do
he
remember
was the
that guy
one-
because I remember that was a huge deal when it happened.
It was 2006.
I'm gonna go Harry Kane last year, I believe.
Yeah.
Harry Kane did it for San Antonio. Yep.
That's actually that's really funny.
Shit.
Because they're called the Spurs. It's the Tottenham
I
Hotspur.
know.
Yes.
Why?
Man.
Fucking A.
I'll go with Alan Shearer.
You're pulling Alan Shearer out of your ass?
Well, hasn't he scored?
What?
I mean, he scored a shit ton of goals. I
don't
guess
believe
that
he
did.
does. He doesn't look to be
You're
on
pulling
this list.
Shearer out of your ass
Never
already.
did.
I'm fucked. That was my double spade ace in the hole.
Well,
Oh,
glad
Alan
he's not.
Shearer's on the list. He is on the list. Fuck me.
Yeah, of course he is.
Why wouldn't he be?
Oh god damn.
Well, this is going to be bad.
Maybe
Sergio
it's
Aguero.
good.
Sergio Aguero.
Also,
guy
when this is done, I've got a trivia question, but mine's Price is Right style, where it's just who can be the closest to
Yeah.
this specific
Yeah,
number.
we're gonna have to go to yours here once we get done with this here. Some
Sergio
guy named
Aguero.
Mine's
some
not
guy named-
soccer related.
some guy named Sergio
Sergio
on the list.
Aguero.
Yep, he's on the list. Yep.
Steven Gerrard,
Some guy named Steve.
was he on there?
I don't think so.
Okay, it doesn't seem like he would ever have scored 4 goals in a game.
Nope.
So,
Some guy named Steve's not on here.
all right,
1X for you, Schottenkirk.
give me all of them.
I'll do Lukaku for Everton.
Some guy named Luke.
Lukaku.
Last name Lukaku.
What's his first name?
Romelu.
What?
Romelu
Romelu
Lukaku.
Lukaku.
Does that start with an R?
Yeah.
Yes.
Something R. Lukaku.
Yes.
By the
Yep.
way, the Gopher women are just getting ran out of the gym here. 80-48 late third quarter.
Lukaku on the board.
All right.
Thank God.
Much like the Dakota Wesleyan women ran away with the national
Wow.
title game.
They've got a shocker. A shocker.
They're still talking about it.
They are. They are. I'll go with Robbie Keane
Yep,
for the
he did it also for San
for the
Antonio.
Irish. For the Irish.
Dimitar Berbatov.
Yep. Old Dim did it. Dim B did it.
Robbie Fowler.
Fowler
Yeah.
did it way back in those mid '90s when he was kicking shit in the net. He was a net kick shitter guy.
It's probably part of FIFA World Cup '96.
Edin Dzeko, like 2010-ish.
Yeah, he did it.
Edin Dzeko did it. Put the little thing over the Z and the Deco. Yep. Ed on the list.
I'm impressed, Marcus, to be honest.
I'm just guessing guys who scored a lot of goals. I don't know.
It's a good guess.
I'll go with Peter Crouch's big forehead.
Peter Crouch.
Yep.
Don't know. Doesn't look like it.
Good.
I guess now that I think about it, from Marcus's perspective, this would be kind of like asking anyone who's ever hit 3 home runs in a game before and just naming off guys who have hit like 500 home
Babe
runs in their
Ruth.
career.
You might as well.
We're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming Jim Thome did it once.
I'd like to know how many guys are on the 500 home run list and never hit 3 home runs in a game. I'm actually curious to see if there's anybody who would.
I would
never
imagine
did.
they all did.
And
Well, I mean,
There
Marcus,
you go, Prince. Trivia question for next week.
and Marcus, you ready for this one for the win?
Oh boy.
Our best buddy, Jurgen Klinsmann.
Oh no.
Jurgen
Klansman. I didn't know they let people like that play soccer.
He played.
Jurgen did it.
I didn't think he played in the Premier League.
Some guy from Man United in the late '90s. I'd like somebody to guess this guy.
Yeah, your old Gunners, Yorkshire, or what the
Yep,
fuck
I'd
ever
like
it is,
old Gunner and some bastard for Chelsea in the early 2000s.
Jimmy something. I can't
Jimmy
remember.
Floyd Hasselbank.
Yep.
Was Emil Heskey on that list?
Hamil.
Yep.
No. Yeah, maybe.
Hamil Heskey.
Emil.
Probably not.
Oh, that's too bad.
How about Jermaine Defoe?
William Defoe.
Jermaine, yeah, not Jermaine Dye, Jermaine Defoe.
Jermaine Defoe on the list.
Jermaine Dye.
Looking for the bad guy in the first Spider-Man movie.
Then one other
Also was in
one
Platoon.
is Andy Cole's got to be on that list, I would assume.
Yeah, oh, of course. Why wouldn't he be?
He cheated.
All right.
Some guy named Yakabugu?
Yakabugu. Nope. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, Yakubu Eigenbegi? Benny Agbayani's brother?
Benihana.
Akabu
Portsmouth back in the early 2000s, I think.
Agbayan for Blackburn, actually. Blackburn. Looking for Blackburn.
No, I don't think so.
We're looking for Nick Blackburn, folks.
Charlie, what was your question?
My question related to the basketball. We'll do this Price is Right style, except you can go over. This is just who's closest.
How many
there's
minutes,
a tie,
how many minutes would it take Virginia to score 100 points? Over, under?
someone mentioned Minnesota not taking vacation or not taking vacated wins, or the vacated wins still count. We're not taking them away. How many NCAA tournament wins do the Minnesota men's basketball team have in the NCAA tournament?
All time?
All time.
Okay.
Vacated wins count also. We're not taking those out.
20.
Traxler guesses 20.
18.
Krin's guesses 18.
Price is Right style. It'd be kind of stupid if I took 19, but I think it's right in that fucking number. It's either 17 or 21. I'm gonna go 21.
Krin's is the closest. 13. They have a 13-12 all-time record according to Wikipedia. I don't know if that's a website or not.
Does that knock out the vacated wins though?
It says it counts the vacated. It says that if you take away the vacated ones, then their official record is 7-9.
Really? Holy shit! Right.
Although, like I said, that's Wikipedia.
That's a lot of goddamn games they've vacated already.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, not kidding. I've at least 5 times seen stuff on Wikipedia where it's like, nope, that is literally not correct. So it's possible that's wrong.
That is indisputably wrong.
Phenomenal.
Good job, Gophers. Way to cheat. That's good cheating.
Well, fuck. The first time they made the tournament was 1980, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, fair point.
Jeez, what? No, that was the goddamn NIT. They didn't make the tournament till 82.
But they've won the NIT like 3 times. So, and I think one of those got vacated too. So
Minnesota did make the tournament in 72, but those got vacated. They don't count.
Well, yeah, they were cheating their ass off. They had McHale and Michael Thompson and all those guys.
72?
In 76 or so.
According to Wikipedia. They
were 0-20. Was this 0-27? Is that the vacated one?
It must be a vacated year then.
76,
it says 72. They lost to Florida State in the Sweet 16, 70-56.
Well, shit. Good job, Leonard Hamilton, I suppose.
He was only 62 then.
That's right. That was when I was in his prime. A lengthy lounge, no stacking. We'll go to his services tomorrow. A lengthy trivia question as well, and we might do some of the baseball next week because
but it wasn't guess this number between 1 and 50. So
name these guys I've never heard of. Yep.
For the record, the Gophers won the NIT 2014, 1998. They got vacated in 1993.
I told you.
Three times.
Nobody knows the Gophers. Nobody knows the Gophers NIT history better than me.
Yep.
So they're 3-time national champions, is what you're saying.
Put the banners up, for God's sake.
And they also lost. They also lost in the finals in 2012. So hell, they're pretty much a stalwart.
They're the one team you don't want to see in your NIT bracket.
Lost in the semis in 03. Fuck, they got extensive history here.
That's right.
An early congratulations to USD women.
We all know you can't
The
spell
national
Minnesota
champions.
without NIT.
Right. That's not inaccurate. Not inaccurate.
There we go. We'll see you next week. What are we going to be seeing? We're going to be seeing the Gonzaga Chicago semi on the left side.
Well, in the Final Four is what we're going to be seeing.
And what's the right side going to look like? We're going to see what do we got?
Marshall. I mean, Marshall's going to come back. They got to score 26 points.
The Q's for somebody.
Q's
for somebody.
The Q's and Texas Tech on the other side. They're going to pack them in tight down in San Antone with Boots and company.
San Antonio.
For everybody, for all the terrible media in the state, we'll see you next week.